Speaking of taking responsibilities,
You know it, Par. We got chapter 1126, taking responsibility with Yamato eating some ramen. When do you think we're going to get the cover page story where Yamato is dancing naked on the street, just like Odin?
by my forecast, I would say about 3 chapters, maybe 4. Oh, and then it's funny because Odin did that with Orochi, the sitting shogun and emperor, and the sitting shogun is Momo. How crazy would Momo it would order this Yamato to be dancing in the streets naked?
That'd be kind of
just
crazy.
like my father did.
To Momonosuke is like, oh, I miss my dad, Yamato. I need you to dance just like him. And when you really think about it, that was like 2 months ago. 2-3 months ago for Momonosuke.
Yeah, it was like now it's like 3-ish months, but yeah.
Yeah, because he got time skipped 20 years into the future. So like, dude, he remembers his naked dad, like just like it was yesterday, really.
Just like it was yesterday.
So at what point will he look at Yamato and say, man, I want to see a naked Yamato?
Not to like substantiate this in this conversation, but I think that this behavior was common in the past, like with emperors when it was like a lineage thing, when like you just had a kid, like their father was killed and then they were like 8 and then they were put in the throne of like the giant empire, whether Egypt or in Europe, whatever, and then the kid just fucking wild out. They're just going crazy.
Oh yeah, like Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Exactly. This is that. Hey, how long? Momo just heard the world's
I
ending.
agree, right? Like, you should never have a kid on the throne.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. Like, I should have worded that better. I should have hopped into it a little bit cleaner. But yeah, like, I just recall like the assassination of Joffrey in Game of Thrones, which, hey, spoiler alert for like a 10-year-old thing. But I was like, man, they should have done that earlier, dude.
Yeah, to me, it's like, lineage, loyalty, that's all fine and dandy. But at what point, like, does like logic take over? Like, you're a 50-year-old Knights commander for 40 years. You've been through like 90 wars, and then all of a sudden, like a 6-year-old is your now commander, and you're like, "Yup, I'm loyal to the throne. This guy's gonna lead the nation correct." And then it takes like 2 months to see it turn, and like, damn, I'm gonna have to do the hard thing. And it's like, bro, no, the hard thing was you signing your loyalty to the 6-year-old. It was taking him out wasn't the hard part. It's just like taking candy from a baby at that point.
I'd be like one of those stereotypical guys. I'm like, I signed loyalty to your father and your father's father, not you. And then you drop the sword on his neck.
Whenever a story like that goes, and then they try to paint the guy who is like, I'm not gonna follow a kid who just took his thumbs out of his mouth, and everyone's like, you're crazy, bro, he's his son. It's like, okay, and
yeah.
It's so dumb.
He doesn't act like his dad. What do you mean?
Yeah,
they're different people.
All of that is just like irrelevant. What are we saying? Like, he hasn't even learned from his father. He hasn't even learned how to walk yet. Like, he barely learned sentences.
Yeah, I wonder how Momonosuke is doing in the throne right now. I mean, last I recall, like, he doesn't really care too much for meetings, right? Like, I remember when the Strawhats were leaving Wano, people were like, hey, Momonosuke, do this, do that, and he's just like, I
think he's like Naruto at the moment. Like, he just has too much.
Yeah.
And like, realistically, in his situation, it's a way, not to power scale Momo to Naruto, but Momo's land and his kingdom is like 100, maybe 50, maybe 1,000 times bigger than the Hidden Leaf.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good question. Would you rather live in Wano or the Hidden Leaf?
Okay, which Hidden Leaf? Like Boruto or Naruto?
I don't like perfectly recall Boruto's Hidden Leaf. Let's go with Naruto.
Okay, in Momo's Wano or Naruto's Hidden Leaf, like when he just becomes Hokage, but while he's not Hokage.
Let's say the transition of Kakashi to Naruto.
Okay,
I can't remember like the timeline specifically, but let's just say like base Naruto, like general Naruto. I think I'd pick Naruto. It's nice and condensed.
Naruto?
Yeah, it's nice and condensed, and then the buildings, like the verticality, brother. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think I take Naruto's mainly because, like, let's say we're just normal people, right?
Yeah.
if you're normal people, like Wano's still polluted. It still has giant monster animals. Like
Yeah.
Naruto's versus a little bit more like tame in that regard. We didn't have pollution yet. Boruto's world has the pollution, but they just don't deal with it. I was gonna say Boruto's verse is like way crazier because they got like trains and computers. They got like Nintendos and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's something like I don't remember Boruto. Like I think it got kind of crazy, huh? They're like going into the cyberspace for their
They
next
literally
villain.
Yeah, they literally have like PSPs and stuff. Like they straight up are playing like
Yeah.
gotcha games on their phones. Like I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, pretty soon they're
It's
gonna
so
be fighting the
crazy.
Sinister Six from Scooby Doo.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It's yeah, yeah, Wano is not like like I think the shining part of Wano might be the Yamato dancing thing. Like
For me, I also thought about the clothing. Like I like the Naruto clothing because
oh,
in Wano
true.
they're just all wearing like kimonos and stuff.
I mean, but the like I not that. I like kimonos.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I
they
mean,
not
there's nothing wrong
kimono, but
with
like
that. Like it's not bad. It's
the
just like if I
guy
had to
version, or
put
whatever.
one versus the other, I like the
In
Naruto
Naruto,
attire. Oh yeah, look at that. You got the Jonin jacket on now too.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'd go with
And
Naruto.
I think like I like it, but also like if we were normal people, we wouldn't have the Jonin
Oh yeah, no, no, we wouldn't.
jacket.
But you'd see somebody with the Jonin jacket on, and that'd be kind of cool.
I was gonna say like around the scabbards when they rolled up and they had like the black kimono or whatever, not kimono, whatever they're called, the jimbes or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are kind of good. I like that.
I don't know.
You know what? No, for me, it's the shoes.
The shoes.
Yeah, because they have like the two step. Like I've never worn those, but I feel like that's not my vibe. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but also in Naruto verse, they have the weird like open toe shoe sandal, like it like the worse than
Yeah,
Crocs.
yeah. But they wear socks though, so it's no big deal.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I'd go with Naruto. I mean, like, what for
Yeah,
One Piece, give me like a different country, and I'd have a different argument, but not a big like
yeah,
Wano fan per se.
yeah. But the thing is, remember, you gotta remember how Wano treats ninjas. Raizo, you want to be with a nation full of Raizos?
Yeah, no, no, thank you, man. Which speaking of Raizo, Oniwa Banshu, we
Yeah,
know that earlobe guy's like probably dead, right? Where's the rest of those guys?
they're kidnapping women.
Yeah, it could be them, like legitimately.
Yeah.
The
And they were
Oniwa
running the
Banshu.
Gaisha. They were running it technically, like doing the security. They were running all the parties, so
Yeah.
it's not like that crazy.
Yeah, but why would Oniwa getting back to the meat of it, why would the Oniwa Banshu want to kidnap women? Like, why would anybody want to kidnap women and possibly me and Atomo as well? Like, that's what I'm struggling with, right? Because Orochi kidnapped women
Uh-huh.
and kids to sell them off to slavery, and then he
Yeah.
later used them as hostages against Odin. But as far as
Yeah.
this goes, like, why are people being kidnapped now?
I have the same answer and it's wrong, but like it led me to a really, really interesting proposition for Orochi, which is like if the Oniwa Banshu, let's say that they're still loyal to the not for whatever reason, not Momo, because like I don't know why they wouldn't swap over to Momo. I mean, like we just talked about how going over to child leader, but the stipulation is that Momo is also like with technically with an adult brain because like everything ripened theoretically. We don't know how that works, but well, don't catch me for the age thing. But double standards too. But anyways, the point is that if they were loyal to the Kurosumi, wouldn't repopulating the Kurosumi be like really, really vital at like every stage of this entire thing? Like Higurashi should have told Orochi, like, hey, you need to repopulate your nation. And Orochi never did. Like he should have. Like,
Yeah, he never
you know what
really
I mean?
brought back the Kurozumi.
Like he was this close. Like he had everything in line. All he had to do was like finish. Like literally. Like that's not even like a meme. And it sounds terrible for on my channel it'd be terrible. On Sai's channel, I don't know how it gets taken in the comment section. But literally, that would be Orochi's mission. Like if I was Higurashi, I'd be like, you got a job here, bro. You gotta repopulate the Kurosumi.
Yeah, because he was technically the last one minus Kanjuro. And we know Kanjuro
Yeah.
didn't do anything. Kanjuro doesn't have any kids.
And
Like
Kanjuro's mission
the
was
last Kurozumi is Tama.
if anything, like it is kind of unbalanced in a oh god, Tama. It's kind of unbalanced in a way where it's like, yeah, Orochi's side of the mission, yeah, he had to work with Kaido. He wasn't struggling, right? Kanjuro was in the trenches. Kanjuro's weight in the plan was so immensely imbalanced towards Orochi. He had to write messages to him. He had to spy on his friends and family. He had to lie to his friends and family, whatever, like allegedly. And like he had to do this like long con plan where he like almost died in a burning castle. And he was like, yep, this is how it goes. And then he went to another burning castle and he's like, yep, this is how it goes. And like, and then meanwhile, Orochi ain't doing anything in the equivalents. He's just getting scared by the ghosts, and he's perpetuating them as ghosts when he knows after the Kanjuro comes back, he knows that they're real because Kanjuro's sending letters. It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
Orochi had like no jobs. He should have just repopulated.
He should have been laying seeds around Wano is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. And we don't even know if like Tama might, oh no, we know that Tama.
Yeah, we know that Tama is a Kurozumi. But
yeah.
does she
I was
know?
gonna say like the theory, like, because Toko, there was a theory that Toko was Kurozumi. In line with like people, oh, if Tama is, what are the chances? That'd be crazy if Toko was, because then under Hiyori and then like all that stuff. But like, and then like the reason why I like that one, the Toko one, was because Orochi was going to kill Toko in the flower capital, and it's like, whose kid is this, blah 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 blah. And the irony would have been that like, yo, this is a Kurozumi and you are doing this to a Kurozumi. That'd be crazy. But obviously it doesn't really matter. But the point is, the Oniwa Banshu like the repopulation plan, I don't think that's theirs because they would need a Kurozumi. I just thought that'd be really interesting if whoever's doing this was a Kurozumi for the repopulation plan, but we don't know any Kurozumis.
Yeah, and that'd be too long. Like I think that'd be so pointless at that point.
Yeah, unless you kidnap Shinobu.
No, Shinobu's pretty cracked, but I was more so on the mindset that the Oniwa Banshu would probably just want to, kill everybody first. Like I feel like no matter what happens, like at the end of the day, they're gonna have to try to take over if they're even doing this. So like, why not just kill everybody first rather than like put a new person into power like that?
See, I'm personally afflicted by Hiyori saying the Kurozumi should burn, and I've held on to how painful that line is for Wano for years now, and so I personally want the Kurozumi to succeed.
Let me tell you, if they find out that Tama is a Kurozumi, I wouldn't be able to argue against like Wano putting her down. Because like on one hand, it's like, Tama's a good person, right? But on the other, it's like, could you blame the citizens of Wano for like saying, hey, like we let one live and then see what happens? Like, who's to say Tama isn't the same?
It'd be tragic because when we started Wano, Tama was accused of being a Kozuki and was being hunted down and exterminated for being a Kozuki at the start. And now you're like, shit, brother, she's just shit out of luck. This sucks.
She really is. She just affiliates with the worst people. Well, like the best and worst people.
Well, I mean, she doesn't get to choose her parents, so like, the Kuros. So I don't think she chose the Kuros.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
How about the Shinobu like ripens Tama to like the age of 30 or something so she could fight fairly?
I thought you were gonna go a different direction. Fight fairly. What does that mean?
Like, I don't know, throw in like a Coliseum.
A 1v country.
Yeah. You like throw like the whole like a Coliseum battle royale and just everybody fights Tama.
So she's Rebecca now? Like she's just straight up just Rebecca, just learns from a one-legged soldier and for whatever reason just becomes naked and fights the country.
You know what's crazy? Tama has like the slave fruit too, or the pet no mi, or the
she would rock Wano.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, would you trust Tama the Kurozumi with the Kibi Dongo fruit? I don't know.
You're actually spitting right now. She's like a nuclear threat. She's like Shirahoshi, but like on Wano. And on Wano you can't escape. Like at least with Shirahoshi, like like not outrun the Sea Kings, but like let's say you're a fisherman and Shirahoshi like put the Sea Kings on you. You can go on land technically. On Wano, like they don't the water's polluted. They don't know how to sail. Like Tama could run this country, bro.
Yeah, and we do know that the smile users are still here, right? Or like the gifters.
Yeah, Udon might be like Tama could be running Udon.
Yeah,
She might be the best person to
because like
run Udon.
Horsalina's still around.
Yeah, and then the thing is, the system would still say, because they would feed them the dangos, the millet dango or whatever things in udon, and like that was you get a ticket, you'd eat the dangos, and then the dangos now would just be Tama's cheeks.
Yeah,
like I meant like the
yeah. Yeah, Tama could literally just run Wano at that point if she has all the gifters. I mean, of course, like the scabbards and Yamato would probably stop them,
like,
but that's still like an uprising if she is evil.
She feeds Yama, the mountain boar. Who's can stop it?
Probably just Yamato and the scabbards.
Yeah, I mean the scabbards. I mean, yeah, I guess like it was pre like them being like trained or whatever, but like so they could maybe take the thing, but like I still think that like when Odin started off, he was just built like insanely, like the gap is so insane, you know what I mean? Like, and Yama is huge. Yama was insane.
Yeah,
and they were like, it was like like no one could stop it. Only Odin in the country.
I'm sure the scabbards could stop it now.
Close.
The scabbards, Momonosuke, Yama, they destroy Yama.
Ashura Doji's dead. Denjiro could. Kinemon could. Do you think all the scabbards though, like individually could?
Maybe not individually, but maybe like life or death battle, yeah.
Daddy, you know how crazy that is? Like they had to do a life or death battle, and then Odin just one shot it when he like not pre Odin, but like like before he became like a daimyo. Like he was just like straight up, give me the baby boy. He went to Thug Kinemon, give me the baby.
It's funny because you said Yama, and I immediately thought of Yama from Skypiea, and I was like, who's he talking about? And I was like, oh wait, Yama the mountain boar. So I'm glad you added like his whole title there. I was like, okay, thank God.
Yeah, I figured because there's like 3 Yamas, so like yeah, Yama the mountain boar.
Yama Skypiea, am I right? Yeah, Yama Skypiea. That guy's so cool.
The big guy.
Yeah, I love that dude. Robin's first 1v1 battle.
Yeah, but isn't that guy shaped like a Buccaneer a little bit?
No.
Oh.
He's shaped like a pin top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of those like spinning tops you like roll on the ground. Yeah.
If you guys are wondering what I'm referencing, definitely check out my last stream. We
Par
really
is trying to call me out because I don't like Buccaneers because of the shape of their bodies. So now Par thinks I don't like any big person, and it's like, no, Par, like it's specific to Buccaneers.
No, that's not true.
See,
that's not true. We had
crazy.
so many examples.
No.
We had so many examples yesterday, and you were like, "No, that guy is shaped like a Buccaneer," and he wasn't a Buccaneer. It was just straight up just a big dude, and you're like, "Nah, I don't like him. I don't like him.
I don't like the cut of his jib."
You said Lucky Roo. Oh
yeah, I don't like the cut of his jib.
Crazy.
Simple as that. So, outside of the Oniwa Banshu kidnapping women, who else do you think it could be?
I thought you were saying like fact. Like aside from them kidnapping the women.
Yeah, aside from that theory, like, do you think it could be the work of an emperor? Or like an underground emperor even?
Underground emperor's a really dope choice. Like the thing is, if Stussy weren't correlated into Egghead, like Stussy could make sense because she's Pleasure Hall Emperor. And the thing is, Wano had the Pleasure Halls, and we know that Cipher Pol was in like cahoots a little bit with like the Underworld, so like that would have been a great one. As far as like taking people, it's interesting because like besides Stussy, and we never had this connected, but like Caesar had bought ladyships. Remember, he spent big amounts of money on what he calls lady ships, not to be confused with like lady boy ships, but like just straight up just lady ships. And we don't know whose ships those were, if they were Stussy's, and if they were Big Mom's, then Big Mom would know, like, because it's like, hey, where'd my funding go? Oh, you're buying like lady ships. So like we don't know who's running that. But maybe whoever it is, but like as far as the Underworld Emperors, we know where Deep Sea Umit is, or his headquarters. We just found out in this chapter.
Yeah.
Which shout outs to my Godfather Shanks video. I remember I brought up Umi, and everyone's like, Par, this is a character that nobody cares about, no one's gonna talk about ever again. This is another one. Par strikes again. Bogard, Kong with the fish, and then now we got Umi straight up multiple times in the chapter. Side's like dying inside with like these fake W's. But aside from them, it's like the loan shark Dufeld. There's the warehouse
Giberson.
guy. Giberson, he's the warehouse guy, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the drug Peklo.
Drug Peklo is the
Morgan's
Undertaker.
Yeah. Undertaker's what, like killing, right? He's like the assassin guy.
It's like the executor of the underworld.
Yeah. So and the other interesting part is that the person who this would make sense for it to be would be Doflamingo, because Doflamingo had the human auction houses on Sabaody, and so you reasonably, if he had the one on Sabaody, you would expect, given how vast his network was, he probably had more. But he said he would be replacing them because he said the era of Smile is coming, and we now know what Smiles are. So he literally on Sabaody said, I'm done with this business. You take it over. And he said he gave it over to Disco. I think we recently saw Disco, and Disco's like homeless and stuff. So he's not, I don't know what he's doing with it. But whoever's running the human auction house would make a lot of sense. And as far as people who take that over, Crocodile could have made sense, but like he wasn't really, we don't really know what he was doing in that regard. And then the other person would be Buggy, but we have no inkling that Buggy's doing anything of the sort. So like that would be interesting if Buggy was just like, Kaido and Big Mom are gone. I hear Wano has big women. Let's go there. And then takes them. Like, I don't know what he would do with that.
Could be Blackbeard.
Not that I don't know what he would do with that. I know what he would do with that. I just don't know why he would be doing that is what I mean.
Blackbeard does have like a whole slave thing going on, so it could be Blackbeard.
Yeah.
And then this could be his tie into Wano.
But we also know where everyone is, that his is like direct, like unless he sent someone other than his commanders.
Yeah.
Which is plausible since we saw his island, in his islands like, we trust you, Blackbeard, blah, blah, blah. And you know who we didn't see? And I'm just going to bring it up front because I know you're going to enjoy
Krieg?
This. Yeah, we didn't see Don, because Don Krieg was on Hachinosu, right?
Yeah.
And
that'd be crazy if it was Don Krieg out of nowhere.
Which, can I say, doesn't that mean Don Krieg witnessed the Garp fight?
Well, we don't know how long Don Krieg's been on the island, but theoretically,
the message
that's
was
not
the
bad.
same day, like the next day. Garp like dies the day before. The message goes out the next day. Don Krieg is there. You know how crazy it'd be if you just missed the craziest fight.
What if he was sleeping?
Like, you know, it'd be funny if Morgans was there. Axan Morgans. He's just like, Garp, finally. And then he's just like on Hachinosu, and Garp's like tied up, and he's like, haha, karma, bitch.
Ooh, this could even be the work of Captain Kuro of 1,000 Plans.
Oh,
he waited 1,000 chapters to come back.
He's like, I tried. My problem with Zero Village is I tried one Kaya. I should try thousands of Kaya on an isolated island where no one can interrupt my plans.
Exactly. You know, when it comes to this, like, I found it kind of interesting they're only kidnapping girls. And, like, maybe I say maybe Minatomo, because that one feels a little bit weird. Like, they're not kidnapping, like, young men, right? So it's not, like, for slave labor. They're definitely going to sell them.
Minatomo could be, we don't know how old he is. He has the body of a 10-year-old.
Minatomo? Oh, yeah, because he's, like, 2 feet tall. I don't know. It's so strange. I think Blackbeard makes the most sense just because it would be, like, a great way for him to come to Wano and just take what he wants without Momonosuke or Yamato being able to do anything. Like, hey, like, let me take your poneglyphs, let me take Pluton, and then you can have all these women back. And then, you know, the scabbards won't be able to fight back. But even then, it's like, this plan has been going on for a while now, before we even knew about Pluton at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know. It's so strange.
This chapter did reveal to us where Lafitte was, the only member that we had no understanding where he was.
Yeah.
Except for my last video. But the nuance being that, like, he unless he trusts someone else outside of his commanders, it wouldn't really make sense to take on Wano without, um, someone he trusts. And trust is a huge thing too for him.
Yeah, like
With
this is a
trust
big
with an
mission.
asterisk. Yeah, yeah, it is a big mission, right?
Yeah.
Like unless there's a certain pirate that fits the bill that would want to work under Blackbeard, and this is like their test, like their test run where it's like Drake under Kaido, where Drake had to like burn down Amigasa village or protect the other island that Scotch was protecting. So there's that, but I don't really. Not that I don't see. No, I see the Blackbeard path. It's just that like contextually, the pieces don't fit. Like I think Buggy has the puzzle pieces, but contextually it doesn't make sense because like as opposed to Blackbeard doesn't have the operation. The other route is Cipher Pol. Like Cipher Pol could be in like related because of like I mean they were there and like I don't know, just like taking women. I don't know. I don't really like they have been trafficking people. That's their thing. Like maybe they're trying to get more Ginnies. Maybe for Garling is like, I'm now the head of science defense, and you know what that means? We need wives. And he's just like, oh, I heard Wano's freed up. Let's go there. Like I don't know. Kind of would line up with time a little bit, but like not really sure.
Yeah. If I feel like it wouldn't be Garling for Garling as a Gorosei. I could see it being like a Holy Knight though.
Yeah, Holy Knight.
It
Could be
lines up with Holy
Knight.
Knight stuff, but huh. Even then,
Yeah.
like Wano's such a strange place to go to because it's so out of the way. Like you have to climb
Yeah,
the
and the whole
waterfall and
point of it,
everything.
the like my weirdest part for it is like if it's Holy Knights, right? And they're just casually on Wano. And then like the whole thing about Wano, like the Gorosei, Venus, Saint Venus is like, drats, Momo. They didn't
That
tear down the
damn
wall, so the place is
wall.
impregnable. Wait, did he say impregnable? Like
I don't
the
remember.
awkward. He's either said impenetrable, but like sometimes people say impregnatable, like about fortresses, and like the irony would be like impregnatable, but like yeah, he said that, and then like it always struck me weird because it's like, so what about Cipher Pol then? Like you say it's impenetrable while you have Cipher Pol on penetrating Wano, like literally penetrated. And then you're gonna say that? Like that's so weird. And then also like, oh, we can't do anything about Wano. Meanwhile, they have a giant sky laser. Like, what are we talking about? Like, let's say the sky laser's inoperable. You still have the sky ship thing that traveled there. You can't tell me that you couldn't sail there when you have something that flies. Like, what are we talking about,
Yeah,
Saint Venus?
I don't see why I see why Wano's borders are like a pain for regular people. But if you're a pirate or like a marine or a world government operative, like it's not that big of a deal. Like
Yeah, like especially with Kaido
you could
gone.
just sail up. It's
Yeah,
not that
like
bad.
the thing is like and like I get it. Like Kaido's there, so like that's you don't want to mess with Kaido. Yonko, sure. Meanwhile, Kizaru's like Kaido and Big Mom. Let me penetrate that. Like he's just one admiral, and then now Kaido's gone, and then Venus is like, "Drats, not this time." They have a really smart guy at the top of the thing. Meanwhile, Momo's just like, "I'm not going to meetings, brother."
Yeah, Momo's like, I'm keeping things exactly the same.
Yeah, and then like the same thing with the elephant too, like Zoe. Like I don't remember like if they like directly referenced Zunisha, but like
No.
I think they like they said like something was behind us, right? Like they
Yeah.
they they reported it. We didn't get the context of like the Gorsei's reaction, but even Zunisha isn't a problem. Like if Jack could cripple it with a few cannon fires from like a few ships, come on, come, what are we saying? Like the Buster Call and Egghead downs
Yeah,
Zunisha in like a
Zunisha's only
second. Like
scary if Momonosuke's
Momo's
behind
there.
him.
Yeah, and but even if Momo's there, right? Like Zunisha swings like once, but like you bring the Egghead Buster Call, that's the one time I'm gonna talk up the Egghead Buster Call. The Egghead Buster Call takes Zunisha, I think.
Yeah.
All directions.
If
How's
there's
Zunisha gonna
no
block his ass
Momonosuke there.
cheeks? Yeah, no, but even then, like Zunisha, like turning around, you know what I mean? If they line up from the back, if they just have any coordination, just
How
stay
about
in the
this?
backside.
The 9 vice admirals versus Zunisha.
Bro, immediately, they wanted to come back, they're like, send us to Elbaf. We'll take the Strawhats, and it's like, no, I have a separate mission to you. For you.
Find Zunisha.
Yeah, find the Phantom Island.
You know,
It's being
I gotta
conflated
say
with the
this.
Phantom Room.
I've had this idea ever since I was a kid, but it's like, yo, like if I was ever like president of a country or a city or something,
Yeah.
I'd want to see where everything's at. I want to properly map out everything. So what I would do is I would mandate
Google?
that there'd be like a day where all of humanity holds hands, like hands across America, and just walks through the forest together. So we cover every inch and don't miss a single beat.
Uh-huh.
And I always thought that would be such a good way to find Bigfoot or Sasquatch, right? If he exists, we will find him because we're doing a wide
genius.
scan of the earth, right? So
Yeah.
they couldn't find Zunisha, right? Zunisha always goes missing. If I was the world government, dude, I would send like fleets just, circling the world. And Zunisha would have nowhere to hide. Oh my God.
To be fair, your plan is way more plausible on our planet than it is for them to do the fleet of ships on the One Piece planet. Mainly not because there's two reasons. One is the size, but your plan is land-based, right? You want to find Bigfoot in the forest by everyone holding hands, which I just want to point out on the 50/50 podcast, when I brought up like the hands holding across America, you're like, I hate that shit.
Oh, no,
that
I
shit's
hate
stupid.
it.
Yeah, I know.
I like the
okay.
idea, but I don't like the promotion of hands across America because it's so scary. Like, if you guys ever watched the movie Us, they're like, woo, and I was like, yeah, I can't do that. Good movie though.
But in the One Piece world, the fleet of ships across even the Grand Line, the reason why that'd be hard is because they can't traverse the Grand Line because the storms. They can't beat storms. The giant typhoon comes in. Oh shit! The whole line is broken.
I would amp up my ships just to find Zunisha.
Yeah,
this damn elephant's going down, dude. Not under my watch.
I just need to know what the Holy Knights are doing, because the Holy Knights are the one weird spot where it's in regards going back to Wano, it's you have Kizaru, right? And he's like, I can take Big Mom and Kaido. And then we have Holy Knights, the Holy Knights at God Valley were dispatched when they heard Roger and the Rock's crew were coming. Holy Knights, assemble! Like, who the fuck are these Holy Knights?
Dude, the Holy Knights, it's so strange to me that they just haven't moved or done anything yet. The Reverie, sure, I can cope with that, right? Maybe they were on vacation. You know, all these other instances, Kuma attacking, maybe they were getting some shut-eye in. But now that the food shortage is happening, they got deployed right after the Reverie. Because that's when we saw the whole dragon thing where he's like, the Holy Knights are going to act now because their food supplies are gone. We've seen 3 chapters of Marie Joie where they have no food. And they're like, food's, it's missing, things are going wrong. The bondola is broken, which we'll get to later. And it's like, bro, the Holy Knights, what are you guys doing? Like, guys, it's been so long.
Kuma showed up, and then Kainu had to come out.
It's like, where are they? I want to believe in these guys, and I know they're gonna be great, and they're the one shining light in my life because I'm so excited for them. But it's also
Holy Knights, more like
guys,
Holy Lights.
Guys. I'm looking around. I'm like a kid on Christmas, right? I'm waiting for Santa Claus to come down my chimney. And he's just not coming. Dude, it's 3 days past Christmas. It's almost New Year's, guys.
Yeah, why do you need the milk and cookies, bro? The place is burning. Bring the milk and cookies. That's what I asked for.
Yeah.
And then, not to knock Figarland right off his seat, but because if the Bondola stuff continue while he's the warrior godhead of science and defense, imagine not being able to defend against sabotaged Bondolas. You just think the Bondolas keep on going up and then exploding. And I was laughing in the chapter because they didn't even need to do that. They did not need to sabotage the Bondolas. The Bondolas work because they took Sabaody trees. There's two of them on the side of Redport. And the reason why that's important is because in order for the bubbles to exist, they need the ecosystem of the trees. And so if you just cut down the trees, you can't rise the bondolas. And what are they going to do? Regrow the tree? They can't. That's the whole point. The things are like, they can't just that was why when Kazar blew it up, they're like, hey, we can't be doing that shit. And so it's like all they need to do is cut down the trees. But no, they sabotage the bondolas. I'm like, you can't figure out what sabotage bondolas. What are you talking about? The bondolas go up, explode. Surely the solution is to make new bondolas that aren't sabotaged.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? You have a slave race inside your wall. Make them stop spinning circles and build a goddamn. It's not even the bondola doesn't even need to work. It's just a plank of wood held by strings, carried by bubbles. Why? How is it sabotage to be blown up?
Yeah, just make a pulley system at that point. But yeah, so sorry, we like skipped ahead pretty hard on the bondola thing, which we'll get back to here in a bit too.
Yeah,
but the bondola thing is just so silly.
The important part is the
thing is crazy.
The thing is so funny.
Okay, so last one now. Kaido and Big Mom. They're not the ones kidnapping people, right?
Why? Why would they?
That's what I'm at. Like, even if they're alive, right? Why would they kidnap young women? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, maybe if they were still ruling Wano, yeah, they would do it.
Yeah.
But now, like you get out of lava, right? You're barely alive. You're like, okay, my crew is missing, or they're not here. Time to kidnap some young ladies. Like, it doesn't like make sense. So I don't
Unless
think it's them.
Men. If they were stealing men, then it's like, oh, Big Mom has amnesia again, and she wants to relive Big Mom, and so she's like becoming Big Mom on Wano. But because it's being like women stolen, maybe it's now Big Mom and Big Dad. Like Kaido's gonna become Big Dad now, and which is way more it's way more functional in the sense of like Big Mom had to sacrifice her own body to become Big Mom over like the course of like 50 years, right? Kaido doesn't, he could equate Big Mom's entire family fleet within 15 years even. He doesn't even have to he doesn't have to do much different, honestly. I'm surprised he hasn't created more How come there aren't more Yamatos?
Yeah, okay, here's a good question. We talked about the Kurosami repopulation plan earlier, kind of crazy. Yeah. But if you were the Emperor of Wano, a dictator even, shogun, would you have a lot of Parvisions running around? Like vision babies? Would you have vision babies just roaming the street?
Am I an evil person or a good person?
Just you. You're just you.
Just me?
Yeah.
Probably not. I feel like it's a lot of work to raise a kid well. I don't want, because like for me, I think the biggest scorn is like, like you can't control your kids. Like, sometimes kids just end up growing up the way they are. But like if they grow up the way they are and then you are weren't, and you're like you spoiled them, whatever, that's a whole different ballpark. You fucked it up. I hate that. You know what I mean? So I couldn't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd have like at least 5 of me running around.
Taking responsibility, which title of the chapter.
Yeah. First page of the chapter now, guys. It's been 40 minutes. But we got the Strawhats and the Giants. They're eating, they're chilling, they're having fun. And, nothing is too noteworthy with this first page, minus the fact that they're drinking something called Green Fairy. Have you ever had absinthe before?
I don't believe so. I feel like I would have known.
Yeah.
I've had Everclear or whatever it's called, but
not absinthe. Yeah.
Not absinthe. Yeah.
Good for you. Absinthe is not good. I've never had it.
Have you had it?
No. Yeah. I don't want to touch that, but the Straw Hats are really touching it. They're feeling it up. They're drinking it down, and they say, "Hey, be careful because there's a chance you may hallucinate off of this." And then right after he says that, it's like famous last words because we see them party and drinking, even though we have that warning right before. So it's kind of funny. But
do you think that the Giants need the absinthe though because they're so big? Like, so normal alcohol doesn't get them messed up that way? Like, they'd have to drink a lot, right? But the absinthe probably hits quick. That's why they resort to it.
I could see that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Green Fairy. Cool name.
Oh, do you think that, like...
What's up?
Okay, like, we don't know what happened. Obviously, no, I don't want to skip to the very end, but, like you alluded to, like, a boating war. Actually, no, I'll save it to that. I'll save it to that.
Okay.
I'll save it to that. Yeah.
So, while this party's going down, we see Kuma and Bonney. And Kuma is smiling. You know, he's finally changed that expression, and then Bonnie's like, oh, we finally reached it. We got to the horizon. And, you know, it's always funny seeing Kuma in these chapters because I can never get a read on the guy. It's like, you know, he's bleeding from the head. He's smiling. His eyes aren't exactly there anymore. And it's like, okay, at what point do we either, one, fix him up and, you know, clean him up, or just get rid of him?
Yeah, you know, the cleaning up at least.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, at least like a baby wipe, right? Like clean off the blood. Like Bonnie's looking up at her dad, and her dad's like, you know, he's already a shell of the man of like he's already a shell of who he once was, but he's also bleeding. He's also just dying.
And we have like doctors on the ship, like multiple doctors.
Yeah.
And like the one who did it to him is also technically here. Like, and should care about Kuma. And like, you know, what can we say with a group of people that are partied around the corpse of the person that they were tasked with saving? You know, they made amends with their situation. But meanwhile, Kuma, who, like, you know, I don't blame people for thinking that he was dead. I just blame people for trying to convince me so hard that he was dead. But like, at the end of the day, the Strawhats don't give you an inkling that he's alive.
Yeah, I mean,
if he was alive, I don't know about you. I think Sai's a good. If his friend was sitting next to him bleeding, I think Sai would bring him a napkin. At minimum,
if you were in my household, like a dead corpse, and you were bleeding, I'd probably just wipe it up a little bit. Like, okay, buddy.
Yeah, Sai would actually kind of like treat you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think he'd have to be like good friends with you. Like, just don't bleed on my floor, brother. Like,
yeah, I got carpet, dude. The stains are gonna be crazy. And yeah, when it comes to Kuma being alive or dead, I feel like we all know where he's at. I don't think anybody would argue against that. It's more so like, what do you define as dead, right? Yeah, because his personality's gone, so that's why I'm calling him dead. You know, he's still there. Like, he's still like, you know, smiling, frowning. He might be able to move still, but it's like, is he alive though? Like, you know, like it's like, what? How do you define death? Like, where do you draw the line for that? And everybody's gonna be a little bit different. But
I think the stipulation, he's alive, but he ain't living.
Yeah. And it's like, if he could live again, I feel like Lilith would have said something by now, right? Like Lilith would have been like, hey, you know. Once we hit land, I'm gonna fix your dad up. But you know, we haven't gotten that. But then again, we could still get it later. But I don't know. Like,
I think
you can't just like rip Kuma away. Like, I'm just so harsh. It's like when I see Kuma like this, I'd want to give him like a proper funeral. But I know Bonney wouldn't want that because Bonnie's like hanging out with her dad finally. But it's like, is it really hanging out with your dad, or is it just like a corpse of your dad?
I mean, I think like the reason why we still have him holding by a thread, it probably lines up with something, the special thing about Buccaneers that Vegapunk would talk about at the very, very end of like when he realizes like, I guess this is a special thing about Buccaneers. It wasn't their body. It was this special property or condition that they have. And that being said, like if like I'm with you on the side of like, do we need Kuma to like the full Kuma to come back to the story the way like we didn't even have that at the beginning of when we got introduced to Kuma? That was like 99% pacified Kuma. He just needed the switch to wipe his memories, but he was already mostly cyborg. We know this. And so we didn't really even get to know that Kuma. We got to know the legacy of Kuma. We are currently like, this is the legacy of Kuma, and like I'm okay with this. And like, as far as restoring Kuma back to like the Ginny Kuma, like that era of Kuma, I don't really care for. But if that were to happen, I think it would come from you know, the Gagon Shaka Vegapunk thing. They come down after thinking about what happened to Kuma and figure out like, oh, we can restore him. But at the end of the day, if they just have that memory bubble, I feel like that memory bubble is just the solution. Like, you just put that memory bubble back in him, and then he has all the memories again. Like, if he, like, the whole thing that Vegapunk was saying is like, oh yeah, I can maintain this memory bubble with, because like Kuma was saying, like, when you make the bubble without something to sustain it, it could like disappear. So Vegapunk solved that. He's like, he said it could stay. And then we don't know what happened when Bonnie touched it, if it disappeared. Oda never showed us that. But like Vegapunk was saying, like, oh, memories are just circuits, it's just electricity, blah 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 blah. So like I would imagine if you just put that bubble back in him, he'd be back to like if not like normal, like back to like before being a pacifista.
Yeah, and
least,
even if the bubble is gone, right? Because they did say, you know, once you touch the bubble, it's probably going to disappear.
Yeah.
Even without that, they were studying that memory for 2 years. So who's to say they don't have a USB chip that has all the memories? Like you said, like the digital circuitry. Like, why don't you just plug that into him and he'll be fine? But yeah, like I would want Kuma back. Like, I like him as a character. I really do. Despite my hatred for the Buccaneers, I think he's great. So I would love him back just for Bonnie even. But it's like right now, like I am such a pessimistic person, or personally, I'd be like, maybe we just, you know, set him on a boat and then burn him down like the Going Merry, you know, send him like out properly. But then again, it's the One Piece world, so, you know, anything's possible. So maybe I wouldn't do that, but
if I were to be uber critical about Kuma's like existence right now, if it like truly does feel like the reason why Oda keeps him here on the ship, aside from like happy go feels with Bonnie, is just because he's a Buccaneer. Like if we had another Buccaneer that was prominent, would Oda need to keep him? I don't think so. Right? Like if we had another Buccaneer en route or like adjacent to Elbaf, or Oda like had a character, like let's just say for shits and giggles, Urouge is a Buccaneer and Urouge shows up on Elbaf. I think that would be, if we had a little bit more Urouge, a little bit more setup, even without setup, then Oda could just be like, yeah, we don't need Kuma anymore.
We don't need Urouge. I'm done playing with you, Kuma. I completely agree. Like, we need a Buccaneer in the story. And it's going back to the Kurosumi plan, right? You know, the Kurosumi repopulation, it's like, we need more Buccaneers, Kuma. You're the last one that's confirmed, right? Like, people have theories that, you know, Weevil might be one, Blackbeard might be one, you know, Whitebeard might have been one. And it's like, that's cool. And I like those theories, I really do. But they're just not confirmed to be Buccaneers 100%. Like, it's all speculation. We're just looking at their size and saying, oh, they're a little bit strange. But as far as Kuma goes, we know he is a Buccaneer. So it's like, dude, he should have, like, repopulated. I don't know.
I mean, like, obviously a lot of
we need more of these guys
needed hardcore therapy, but like the one part of Kuma's backstory was like he didn't want to have a kid because
they become a slave, want the kid to be and persecuted,
enslaved and chased, and that
makes sense. That's I would have had a kid and I would have given it to Dragon. Oh, no, Dragon would have. Well, no, Sabo was a part of the Revs and he was a kid. Same with Koala. Like, damn.
Like, Dragon has W's. Like, he's good with kids aside from Luffy. Like, Luffy wasn't underneath him, right? But like Sabo and Koala did.
They turned out really well. You know, that's like a big you know, as much flack as I give Dragon, I love what Dragon did for Sabo and Koala. I think that was amazing.
All the kids. It wasn't just them. Yeah, he literally, that's his entire shtick that is like like when people talk about the Baltigo thing with the Blackbeard stuff, I'm like, yo, his island isn't of like just normal fighters. No, they're children. Like, he just has to say.
You know, kids. I will say this. This might be the most positive thing I've ever said about Dragon in my entire life. It's like, he's really good with kids.
I always hold on Dragon. People
same.
always forget that he has located a bunch of kids. Aside from his own, there's a bunch of families out there and dads that are thanking Dragon, like, thank you for protecting my son while I go fight the
Monkey
Revolutionary
Man
Army. And Sabo and Koala are the prime examples. Now listen, like Sabo and Koala, like, if I want to be pessimistic and I want to precog some people in the content, right? Those kids are being raised to then fight wars and
they gotta do something. I agree with it. It's give and take, right? It's like the equivalent of like, oh, like I raised you all your life, you know, you got to pay rent for at least 1 month, you know, help your mom and dad out. It's the same thing for Dragon. The thing is, like help me liberate this country.
The thing about Dragon's headquarters, the Baltigo thing, that like low key is a problem is like it gives you, if you were to analyze it, right, it gives you the idea that none of those kids have the option of doing anything besides revolutionary work. Because if the alternative existed, then there would be a town. There would be like a living place in Baltico. There would be like schools. There'd be like shopping. There'd be life. There's just the headquarters and a war center. Where else is
Hey,
Dragon
that's
putting
all
these
kids
people
need.
to live? Other than that, all Dragon's doing is taking these people from their like Lelucia, right? Milkmaid, all these normal jobs, grocery worker, all these people, and hey, no, you don't get to be a milkmaid anymore, Moda. You are now the
You're now a
revolutionary
fighter.
Eastern Commander, and you don't want to hear about what happened to the last Eastern Commander.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude. The
yeah,
Revs they're an interesting bunch, that's for sure.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you think Bonney and Kuma are going to go to the Revs? Because I know that's still like a hot topic, right? Will Bonney join the Straw Hats? Will she be dropped off on Elbaf? Or will she join Dragon's coalition? How do you feel now?
it like I said this a while ago about Bonnie. Like Bonnie, I said like the hot take of Bonnie not being an important character, but Bonnie's power is why. And then eventually we got the Nika thing, and it's like, oh shit, that's crazy. When I was saying that, I wasn't even I was just expecting her to be able to like copy shit and like turn into other things. But when that came out, it's like it kind of like changed, like even not trivialized. It doesn't trivialize, but like now Bonnie's like it almost feels like Bonnie when Luffy turns Gear 5, like now Bonnie's like, here I am, Gear 5 too. I heard you need help. But other than that, like, is Bonnie gonna come out and fight and be a warrior? I don't think so. It doesn't feel like that at the moment. She's in a kid form, she's with the dad. And then the other part we just talked about is that Kuma only feels relevant aside. I love Kuma, but like narrative wise, it's just the Buccaneer thing, which Bonnie isn't, and the track that they're on is to Elbaf, which is the history of Nika. So like since they're on that path, you'd want to say like, oh, once they're done with the Nika stuff, then they'll become a Rev. But the problem with that is that Nika's the end of the story. Nika stuff is like Laugh Tale. Nika stuff is Void Century. So they would need to resolve the Nika stuff and then join the Revs, or at some point join the Revs during that. And then at that point, it doesn't matter, because at that point, if you join the Revs at the end of the story, well, the Revs are joining us. You know what I mean? Like that at that point, joining anybody doesn't really matter. It's just you
Yeah.
versus like the opposite side. And do I think that Kuma is gonna fight on like Luffy's side at the end of it? Yeah. Is Dragon gonna be on Luffy's side? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's not joining the Revs to me at that point, right?
Yeah. It's just more
Yeah.
like a
So that's
title.
kind of,
Like, will she get the Nakama
yeah,
title or no?
like Nakama with the Straw Hats or Nakama with the Revs.
Either
Is
one.
like what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the Straw Hats is also a weird one, because like she's there, but like she's there with Kuma. Her whole thing is setting sail with Kuma. Kuma's not setting sail with the Straw Hats. And Kuma, we don't even know if he's living. He's alive, but is he living? And like when the Nika stuff gets resolved, what do they do? And if they go back to the Revs, like Kuma's, you know how much PTSD Kuma would have of putting Bonnie in the Revs again when she looks identical to Ginny. Yo, Kuma might come back alive then. Like
Yeah.
Kuma,
If you were Kuma, would you want your daughter to join the Revs?
absolutely.
I don't think I
fucking
would.
not.
I'd be like, hey,
No, listen, like
your mom did it, I did it. I think I'd want a better life for you. Hey, go live in base in Sorbet Kingdom, please.
the
Anything but
stipulation.
this.
If Dragon put more foot down of getting Bonnie the doctor, then because he was just like, I'm gonna put the seeds out there for you, Kuma. And then when Kuma comes back, shit, brother, I couldn't find any doctor. He's like, you see, I know a doctor whose lab just blown up, and he's not secured right now. Meanwhile, it's like the most secured he's ever been. And
Yeah.
Kizaru, Drake, the Gorsei watching, Dragon gives him the worst advice there. It's like he's not.
Hey, it wasn't good advice, but it still got to like this great ending though, sort of.
Yeah. And so, there, if Dragon said like, I'll set up a meeting, like if he at least like set up something like through Umi or something where it was like more secure, then it'd be like, all right, you stuck your neck out for Bonnie back then. I could trust you a little bit now. I see Koala, I see Sabo. You stuck your neck out for those two. You still haven't proven yourself to the women in my life. Like that's what statistics are. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he got one of one, and that shit didn't fly. And then he had two of two, and then Dragon's like, yay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You need a doctor. I know a guy.
Rest in peace, man. So we learned that Just over a month ago, here at Gartel Island in the New World, the pirate Bartolomeo the Cannibal entered Emperor Red-Haired Shanks' territory and burned the city's flag, a blatant affront to the Emperor. And let me tell you, it feels good to see Bartolomeo on his knees, brother. I've been waiting for this, yeah. I've been waiting for this ever since Barto burned that damn flag.
I thought you were a Barto hater, but you're a hater of his actions.
I like him. I just like seeing that, there's repercussions for this, because I remember fighting on that battlefield, which I didn't fight super hard, but I made like, I think 3 videos talking about how Shanks would beat Barto and he wouldn't let him go. And people, I got so much pushback. They're like, oh, Shanks would never. Shanks is an angel. It's like, guys, like, yeah, sure, he's a good person, but like, this is not okay.
I remember that being said about the kid situation. I was like, listen, guys, remember before that, people were like, Shanks wouldn't kill a kid. One tap, like not even. And then like, it was just crazy because like, they would say that about kids. So I 100% believe that they were saying that about Barto.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, and now people are kind of spinning this, and not a lot of people, it's like this, it's like the loud minority, but
Twitter.
Yeah, it's like people saying like, oh, you know, Shanks, I hate Shanks now. It's like, why? Like, isn't this what most logical people would do? Right? Like, somebody comes into your territory, it's a pirate life, they burn your flag. Yeah, you gotta beat them a little bit. Like, you can't just let this go.
Yeah. I think because I not on the fence, but like more so like, I mean, it comes up with the Yasop stuff, but like at the same time, like when people see the first chapter and the way Shanks holds like disrespect, right? The thing is like you have to like contextualize that disrespect, right? Shanks got heavily disrespected in chapter 1, but it was just Shanks.
Yeah.
This is Shanks's flag, but it's not just Shanks. This is Shanks's entire art, like in his entire kingdom, of which is just like you know, just a random people on the side, some senior citizens, some old ladies, some ball fingers, like the random town folk, right? That flag going down tells all the pirates in the world, oh, Shanks won't do anything, right? That's the difference here, where it's like, yeah, this isn't just disrespect to Shanks anymore, this is disrespect to like
Everyone,
like people's livelihoods. Like you like Shanks is like, how about go inside the town and see if they're living okay, and if they're not, then you could do something. That's what Luffy did. Luffy went to Wano, and he was like when you look at Wano, right? Like Luffy went to Wano, and he got upset. And the platitude and platform that Luffy fought on was like, "Yo, you're starving the people." That was the thing. Kaido was like, "Why are you doing this? We're pirates." Blah blah blah. And Luffy's like, "But people are starving, and I don't like that." And then that's it, right? Like if Barto at least had that. If he went to Shanks and things like, "Well, you're dyeing everyone's hair is red. That's not. This guy wants blue hair," and like some random bullshit, like at least something like that. But no, nothing like that.
He just burned it for fun.
Like, yeah, and that's like, you know, senseless. You're not thinking, which is what he admitted to. He's like, "Yo, I wasn't thinking. You're right. I'm so sorry." And then Shane's like, "And you put Luffy's flag on it. What does that mean?" And he's like, "Luffy didn't even tell me to do that. I'm so sorry." And it's like, "Oh, Luffy didn't? You just did that yourself, you asshole." And then he's like, "I'm an asshole. You're right. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna drink this."
So you're completely right. Like, this is more than just Shanks, right? The disrespect. And even going, you know, we can put this whole part in together, but you know, Yasop ends up shooting their ship as well, and it blows up. And it goes back to what you said, like, Barto left this situation, and his takeaway was that Shanks isn't ruthless. He's softer than I expected. And it's like, do you want that going around town? Like, imagine Barto goes to the next island and he tells people like, "Hey, by the way, if you burn Shanks' flag," he's not going to do anything. You know, like, Shanks will just let you go. It's like, no, you can't have that go around and be the rhetoric. Like, if you let Barto go, that's one thing. But if Barto tells people, you know, you let him go, it's like more people are just going to come here, burn the flag, and be like, "Oh, Shanks is going to show up and he's going to slap me on the wrist." Like, no, you can't let that happen. So I 100% agree with Yasop blowing this ship up. It makes sense.
Like, with the Yasop situation, like, it's a leap. There's a leap in what, like, if Barto were to do that, right, you know, that's not in the story yet, so it's like, yes, you'd have to jump to that conclusion. Is that not plausible conclusion. It is a plausible conclusion. Literally, the thing about Barto also. Actually, just going back. Yesterday on stream, you brought up the point of like, like, oh, like it's possible that Yasop heard that, and so like, in a similar fashion of how Shanks just no words obliterated kid. Yes, Shanks is the captain, so it's a little bit different. But Beckman didn't even ask questions. He was just like, oh, he must have saw something. So,
Yeah.
and he trusted that. And so like in this regard, what you're essentially saying is that like Yasop and Shanks have been together so long that Yasop saying, hey, move aside, and like that sounds disrespectful, and I thought it was disrespectful when I was reacting to it. I was like, yo, that's crazy. Imagine someone on Luffy's crew doing that. And the thing is, like, we do have an example, Whiskey Peak, where Zoro took out like all the people, and those are people that made Luffy happy, just like how Shanks was happy about Barto. And then he wakes up, Zoro kills all of them.
He
That was
beats
like
him,
the one
yeah.
time like I think everybody died. Yeah. So like he kills them, and Luffy's mad, and he doesn't know why Zoro did that, and he started fighting him. The difference there is that Luffy's only known Zoro for 10 days.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, yeah, he's known Yasa for like 20 years. And so now it's gone to a trust where it's like, if you were to ask if Zoro to do, or Sanji or anybody honestly on the ship were to do something like that now, Luffy might be like, all right, I trust them. If they honestly, I don't think that they would be the type of people that would do this ridiculously.
Yeah.
And we kind of get that inkling based on the fact that they split up so often in the time skip that they just bet on
They
each
just
other.
trust each
There's
other.
like, yeah. So like that is a stepping stone towards this. Now getting to what the Yasop situation is, what Bartos said so slanderous to Shanks that it warrants this thing. If you take chapter 1 into regard, I don't think so. But if you take into what Sai said, yeah, Barto spreading that around would be really problematic, because the entire point of Shanks's like position in the story is upholding a status quo, he's a sleeping lion, he's a position that balances the world government, balances the pirates. If that stuff falls, because Barto not only slandered him but all of the Yongo, that's including Buggy. What if Yasop likes Buggy? Like, we don't know that, but like, and Luffy too. But the other part of it is that so if they did the same thing that they did to Kid, where they looked up Kid beforehand, he's from the South Blue. Oh, he did a lot of crazy stuff in the South Blue. That's wild. If they looked up Barto, they would be like, oh shit, he's from the East Blue. Yasop's from the East Blue. But more than that, Barto's known for having the world's most viral podcast call. He's like the radio junkie. So like he is the person that would be able to spread the news. If they looked into his past and he's like, oh, Shanks is a softie, he's actually a character. He runs a radio show. And I'm pretty sure like that's how he got the man-eater cannibal thing, because like it was a roast or whatever of people.
Barto was so evil in Dressrosa when we first met him that people were like, oh, like this guy's like the number one hated like person in the Coliseum right now. And it's like, yeah, dude, like if Shanks were to look this up, without the Luffy stuff, yeah, blow him up, dude. This guy's not good.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about that? Hongo is the lead man. When in this situation, Hongo, who's the spy, like it was funny because like he's the character I've been calling and referencing, the FBI agent, the CIA agent.
Yeah.
And when you think about like movies, he's literally doing like the most fed up.
Hongo's so cool.
He's just like, I got poison.
Yeah. And then during the Kid fight, he was like, hey, by the way, Shanks, here's Kid's information and here's Blackbeard's information. I was like, damn, dude, Hongo. All right, man.
And so he's taking the lead here. And if he's read Barto's file and he's like, let me handle this, right? He's the guy, we got to really test his loyalty. He does the poison thing. He passes Hongo test. That's how Shanks is like, all right, if Hongo did this and I trust Hongo, did all that, that's cool and dandy, but that doesn't wipe away what Barto said afterwards, right? And so it's like through and through, when you like, this is what I was saying, like someone came into the stream yesterday, a few people, and they're like, oh, this chapter's mid, there's not theories, you can't do, and then I was like, who gives a fuck about the theories, bro? This segment of the Shanks thing, you could analyze for years. Like there's so much you can go back to, and it just not only makes sense, but like the more you look at it and the more like the context, not, you don't have to make the like what I said about the logical leap that you made, right? It's not a logical leap in the sense, if you just tie who Barto is to what he's saying, it's like, yes, the guy who runs a radio show can spread the news just like Morgan's. Like, that's not a logical leap at that point. You just have to take in who Barto is. And so the point being is that, like, you can really tell that Oda put a lot of care into this segment. Every single instance, every single move, every single word, it like is meaningful. Like oh wait, what? Shanks is fine getting disrespected in chapter 1. Yeah, but this isn't disrespect to him anymore. Oh, but like, yeah, why did everyone was laughing when Shanks got hit by Higuma in chapter 1? Yeah, but that's because it was just Shanks there. Now it's the Yonkos that are being disrespected. Now it's
his
the title, it's the status, it's everything, the territories, it's everything. So Yasop is valid in doing that. So it's like there's so many levels to it. And then also the way they tested Barto. Oh, if Hongo studied Barto and then they realized, like, we got to really test him, and then they looked at Barto and he did all that, then they were really happy and he's dedicated. But they could also be looking at it, here's another option, they could be looking at it as they're doing Luffy a favor.
Oh,
do they want a person who's this reckless being underneath Luffy and supporting Luffy? Yeah, he's dedicated, but he's stupid. So like Yasop, you could spin it as Yasop doing Luffy a huge favor of like
teaching him a lesson,
like not just teaching him a lesson, but just straight up like firing somebody from the other, like, hey Luffy, you got to be more like, because the thing was at the end of Dressrosa was Luffy says, do whatever you want, I don't care what you guys do. If you guys want to do named whatever, if you guys need help, call for my name. I just want to be the freest person. But the stipulation that Shanks is saying, and Shanks is in this moment, is no, it's not just do whatever you want. Luffy, if these people are flying your flag, if these people are acting on your behavior, you have to be stern, you have to be strict. This could be another like teaching lesson that like Yasop eventually, when he sees Luffy, be like, hey, I had to take care of Barto because he was spreading a bad name for you. And you could apply that to Leo and Sai as well on Mare Drop, but obviously that one is different. Like Luffy would co-sign all of that, right? But this one is obviously like, like if your friend had like it's a weird thing, but it's like your mentor firing someone in their like mentee's company because they're just a toxic person. Like this could be that situation right now, right?
Yeah, and I don't even think Luffy would be like upset, like too upset. I think he would understand where Shanks is coming from, because Luffy takes his flag really seriously too.
Yeah, and that's something he learned from Shanks at Drum Island. He was saying like, I learned, he protected Chopper, Hero Luke's flag for Chopper. Stand on the thing. He said this is what a flag means. Who did he learn how to be a pirate? Who did he learn that from? He learned it from the Red Hair Pirates. And so he learned all that, and it would make sense that Shanks would defend it, and he would understand how grave of a thing that was. And he also knows doubly that's important from the Foxy pirate arc, because instead of doing anything heinous to him, the worst thing that he thought of was, haha, I'm gonna redraw your flag, bitch. And then the Foxy pirates like, damn it, it's so ugly we can't even fly under it anymore. Like they just disbanded or whatever. So to a certain extent. And so yeah, through and through this like segment of it, and we talked through most of it without even like getting through all of it, which also should tell you how like amazing of a stretch of chapter this was. It was so crazy reading this and then getting to the next part and then getting to the next part. At a certain point I was like, how long is this chapter?
Dude, this is the most Shanks we've gotten in a minute.
And not just that, but every segment felt meaningful. Like every page of, or every strip of this Shanks thing, like I dissected, I went back to, I reread, I understood. And then like the Barto stuff, even on Barto's end, because like you could say all this like exposition on Shanks's crew exists, but then you have to look at what Barto did. Barto demonstrated a very admirable depiction of dedication and camaraderie and commitment and love, to the point that Shanks commended it. He did, and yet and through and through he did it. He thought he was gonna die, he was gonna bleed out of every orifice of his body and explode into, and he still did it, and he still did that. And now you can look at Barto's character and dissect how loyal he is to Luffy on the level of like Kid's crew to Kid, and then Beppo to Law. Oh my god, I was gonna say Polar Bear. I don't know why instead of Beppo, his name was just Polar Bear in my brain. But like the dedication they had to their captains, like you could say Barto was like equally loyal in that sense. Is like he would Luffy is not even at a threat at the moment, right? And he was like, I'll just die for him. It's fine. I'll sacrifice it. It is what it is. And ultimately he did. Not he didn't die, but like effectively dead. You know, like
Yeah.
to the story at least. But
And
yeah,
I just want to hammer in like
this.
I love the fact that Yasop did this. You know, some people are on the fence about it. They're like, "Oh, I don't like that he told Shanks to move away." But it's like, dude, like they've been brothers for a long time. Like if you know a guy for 20 plus years, if the guy says, "Hey, I need to do something about this," you let him do it. Like you don't really question too much. You just trust their judgment. And like you said, like the Straw Hats, if this were to happen, like not even right now, like sure, it could happen right now, but like let's say post story, like we come back 40, 30 years later, if Zoro says, "Hey, I gotta like kill these guys real quick," do you think Luffy would like say, "Hey Zoro, stop, you know, please don't do this"? Like no, like Luffy would probably trust all their judgment.
We actually have a really good example of Luffy and Chopper just agreeing with whoever, if they even look like Zoro, because like 40, 50 years, they're personally, if you haven't talked to them and they just completely changed, you're like, they're a little bit different, but they're still Zoro, they're still Sanji, they're still Robin.
Oh, you're talking about like Sabotage 2.0, yeah.
Yeah, when they saw Tomorrow Black, they're like, this is a little weird from what I remember. You weren't like this. Oh, but it's okay. You're Zoro. You're Sanji. It's fine. Like Luffy and Chopper all did that. Usopp and Nami were the two ones who were like, the hell is going on here? You know, Nami was like very skeptical, which, you know, could say a lot about her character. But like, yeah, Luffy is, it's like Zoro, Sanji, yeah, this is fine. These are my homies. Of course I trust them, right? So like we do have an example of exactly what you said in this scenario. You give 20 years and I think you'd get the same dialogue, honestly. And the thing is, like at the same time, you'd be able to reflect on Whiskey Peak and say that, like, yeah, Luffy was the wrong one there, where he should have at least asked Zoro, like, yo, why did you do this? Not just throw hands with Zoro first. He should have trusted Zoro with his actions, knowing that Zoro had the best intentions. But we can understand why, because it's only been 10 days. If I knew Sai for 10 days, and he did some batshit crazy thing too, I'd be like, yo, what? You know, like that. 2 years later, he still does some things. I'm like, huh? And then we talk about the 50-50, and then I come to understand, and then we start talking about Quartz Arc and other things. But
yeah, I mean, great segment overall. And as far as, you know, going back to Hungo a little bit, you know, when he gives Barto this poison, I couldn't help but wonder if this might happen in the future. Like another poison situation, like maybe Blackbeard gets poisoned or Dragon gets poisoned or like something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like
I was just gonna say,
yeah,
the like a lot of this stuff, and I think this chapter especially, which I'll get at the very end, but a lot of this stuff I feel like is Void Century. Like there's stuff here that's like related, that could be involved. I mean, like Dr. Hirolik took the poison for Chopper willingly, right? Like for a reason, and then Barto took it willingly to spare you know, Luffy's life, but it was a lie, it was a thing, and it was a joke, blah blah. But then also what Yasop did, he was like shooting the messenger a little bit, and that's what's interesting. It's like Rockstar, everyone likes bring up Rockstar is literally the messenger that gets shot every time, basically. Whitebeard did it, and then also, I mean, Kid didn't even get to the message, but like the messenger is also really important. People who propagate the message, and those intricate details are also in this thing. Like in the next segment, we get another messenger that Blackbeard is using. So like that's another interesting little tidbit there, that like, yeah, this stuff will probably repeat later on.
Yeah, and I like that Oda is also giving Hongo the spotlight here as well. Like Hongo and Yasop, right?
Cool.
Yeah, not only do they look cool, but like we get more of them. Because Shanks has so many people we have never even seen really talk. Like Building Snake, for example, or Howling Gab, Bonk Punch, and like all these dudes.
We've seen more of them in the live action at this point than we have in
or like
manga.
even Film Red. So it's like, yeah, I can't wait till we get more Shanks scenes, just so that we can learn about their crew more before, you know, they die or they fade out of existence or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited.
Get Emu like Shanks takes back his power, the Shanks tax.
Yeah.
And then when Shanks revokes the Shanks tax, his crew dies. Like, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, people look at these guys and say that, Blackbeard might eventually beat them, or, somebody will beat Shanks' crew by the end of the story. And I kind of agree with that. I just don't know who. I'm leaning towards Blackbeard, but we'll see. But as it stands right now, like, I can't imagine a future where the red-haired pirates are still a thing when Luffy finds the One Piece.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, this plot line, I have an entire video on this part about the missions Luffy has. Like, yeah, his dream, yeah, like becoming the greatest pirate, whatever, all that stuff. But he prefaced all that with, "I'm gonna give you back this hat," and that's huge. Like, what is that going to look like? And a few things that came out of that conversation, looking back at the hat, we landed on a conversation about Emperor Nero, which this was all before Nerona was a thing. And then people were going back and like, oh, that's crazy. I was like, yeah, this is crazy, but I don't know how it relates. Like, I just brought up Emperor Nero. Like, any video could have brought up Emperor Nero and in One Piece, because it's just like a very prominent Roman emperor given like marriage law and everything. But like, I do think that it is interesting, given like I brought it up in the scope of giving back the straw hat, and Nerona Imu has the other straw hat. So it's like, and the other crew that had the straw hat, they disappeared. So like with Shanks's situation, like more ways than one, like they dissolve, like at minimum. Like,
yeah,
like dying is one part. I've always been on the boat, not always, but I'd say like I've always been 90% on the boat of like Shanks dying by the end of the series. When we got like started getting the Yonko stuff, where we have Blackbeard, Buggy, Luffy, Shanks. Blackbeard has Blackbeard scarred Shanks. Luffy, Shanks lost his arm because of Luffy, and so my thing was like, okay, well, Shanks hasn't suffered an injury due to Buggy yet. He suffered one because of Blackbeard and suffered one because of Luffy. When's Buggy's turn? And my thing was like, oh, it's probably just gonna be like Buggy's about to die, and then like he does the ace thing, where Shanks does the ace thing and saves Buggy, like as if Buggy is Luffy, and then he would just die in a self-sacrificial way. Given how strong Shanks is, honestly, that's like one of the more rational ways that Shanks could die, is that he sacrifices himself rather than he like actually loses to somebody in a similar way that Garp, right? Garp losing, right? You even see it, a little bit in this chapter, but the point is like Garp is so unkillable that like the only main, like, had Kobe not been in a dire strait, would they been able to take down Garp? I don't know. If Kobe was off the island, I don't see why Garp couldn't get off the island either, right? Like, the reason why he held everyone there and everyone had such a difficult time is because he had to be there so Kobe could leave, and he's like, I can handle this, and he did, and he straight up did. And so like there's these characters that are this strong, Shanks, Garp, like now Garland, we add that, like Whitebeard, right? Whitebeard he's self-sacrificed. He was dying. He was already dying. He went to the Marineford dying already. And the only reason why he died was because he had to sacrifice himself so many goddamn times to like save everybody. And against the Kainu, against the war, just everyone. A squad even, like so many different times. And so it's like, I think that would be the way Shanks would go. And I think that his crew, I think the interesting play will be like what Shanks's crew does at that point. You know what I mean? Like Whitebeard's crew had a grudge war against Blackbeard. What does Shanks' crew do when Shanks dies? Because I think Shanks dies. I think a lot of people at this point think Shanks dies. It's just kind of like, what is the fallout? When is the fallout? Where is the fallout? But yeah. Oh, I love this. Like, this could have just been the chapter. This could have.
As far as the poison goes, man, like, it's so funny that he gives Luffy a month, and it's like, okay, with the poison thing, I feel like if Luffy were to even drink this, he might just survive, because Luffy does have like that poison resistance already from Magellan, and the poison fish that he ate at Whole Cake Island, because the one at Whole Cake Island, that should have killed him a lot sooner, but he survived long enough for Reiji to like suck out the poison. It's like, yo, if Luffy were to take this, he'd reach like the final stage of immunity at this point.
Yeah, and who's to say Luffy doesn't survive the Whole Cake Island one ultimately? You know what I mean? He was on the brink
Yeah.
of death in all the other ones. Like, who's to say we don't just get Nika at that point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Sun God
Because
Nika
like,
just comes out and like he wrings out the poison from his body.
yeah, yeah, just comes out, just laughs the poison, and he just shits out the poison. Like, why not just sneezes? Oh, what's this? You know, like ew, and
Yeah,
then he just like cocks a loogie and spins it around like a cartoon,
just
slams
throws
it on the
it.
wall, splat. Yeah, like a Nickelodeon foot.
It's kind of funny. After Barto drinks the poison, and he says, "Oh
Yeah,
man, I wish I could have seen Luffy become the Pirate King." The panel of Shanks right there is so funny to me, dude, because
yeah,
you could tell he's like trying not to like smile,
yeah,
like his
yeah,
eyes in
yeah.
his mouth. He's like, hmm. And then that's why, like, the next time we see Shanks, he's actually like laughing. Yeah, no, Shanks was
It's
really happy when he said that.
wait, you're talking about the one where he's like head like chin up, like looking down, like that one?
Yeah, I think no, no, no. I'm talking. I think so. It's the one where he says, "Oh man, I wish I could have seen Luffy become Pirate King." The one where like the people
Southwest.
are fading out of existence.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that one, that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He's just trying to keep that poker face,
yeah. It
right?
looks like
Like
he's
that's
trying his
that.
hardest to keep a poker face right now. Like it looks
Yeah,
kind of
in
scuffed in a way.
yeah, it did look kind of scuffed. I like used the word scuffed because I thought when I saw that face, I thought he was looking left, but like I like the hair was blocking the third scar, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, it's the theory that everyone talks about, the looking left one. I don't know what the theory is, but it's looking, he's looking, and I realized he's looking straight. He just something looked odd about him, and scuffed
yeah.
is like something's odd.
He's just trying to zone out so that he doesn't like smile too hard
Yeah,
because he has to keep like a straight face in this scenario.
the only thing that would have made this more meta is if Oda did the YouTube thumbnail trend right now where he split face Barto and Shanks in that scene right there, but he didn't. He gave him more of the face. He's like, "Oh, I'm not doing that." You know, that's how you know Oda, would watch YouTube if he saw that he did the thumbnail meta that everyone's
Yeah,
doing. Yeah,
I don't know the thumbnail meta, but I'll just go with it. I've never seen it, but we
you've
have.
definitely seen it. You've definitely seen it.
What is it?
All the thumbnails are just like it's like the two characters and they're just split in the middle and their face are split. And then it's like half of one face, half of the other face.
Oh, that's a meta.
Yeah, there's so many people doing it.
Oh, I mean, I've
It's
seen
not
it
just like
around,
one or
but
two.
like,
Yeah, there's like
huh?
5, 6 different big accounts. I think I forget where it originated, but it that thing caught on like wildfire. I even did it, and I tested out. I did the thumbnail test thing
Yeah.
on one of them, and then it didn't pass. So I was like,
Oh,
whatever. But like, I think it's because mine wasn't a nice, like it wasn't as nice as the other ones. I was like, do people really like the slit face thing? So I tested it out, and then I think the one that ended up being liked was the one where like Blackbeard's face is like super in the image. So I'm just gonna do really like jump scare face pictures of characters now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the
So
one.
now that Barto's ship is gone, are you excited for their next ship?
The Going Nika Senpai?
Yeah, whatever
The
he
Going
named it,
Joy Boy. Yeah, the Going Joy Boy.
or the Go Luffy, or the Sunny Luffy, the Thousand Luffy, the Merry
Nah,
Luffy,
he can't. He has to do the going. Oh yeah, because going Mary for Luffy. So yeah, now it would be the Thousand Luffy,
Thousand Luffy, or yeah, something like that.
Thousand Monkey.
I don't know if he'd say Thousand Monkey. I feel like he'd keep
Yeah,
Luffy in there.
yeah, yeah. The Sunny Luffy. Oh, yeah, it would just be the Sunny
Yeah,
Luffy.
the Sunny Luffy makes
Yeah,
the most sense because it would have like the sun god hair now. It would fit the bounty
yeah,
poster.
yeah. It'd have to be equally as ugly though.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that's like the quote charm of Barto's ship is that it's just really cursed.
Yeah, but you remember what the most cursed part is, right?
What part?
No, you forgot.
What's the most cursed part?
You can see part of it in this picture. Do you see the back of the ship?
Are you talking about the chopper antlers?
Yeah. No,
Why
the
is that?
back isn't it Chopper's? Isn't it just Chopper's face on the butt?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
so.
that's the most cursed part. Why is Chopper's face on the butt?
I don't know. I mean, well, he has like a piece of all the straw hats on there, or like something that goes back
Does
to
he?
all of them. Yeah, he has like Nami's
Well,
tangerine trees. He's
okay,
got
but Nami's tangerine is way different than Chopper's face on the ship, wait, bigger than Luffy.
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of things about this ship that just are super ugly. If anything, I don't like Luffy the most in this ship.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Luffy's second worst. Chopper's worst. Luffy's. It's just like the arms feel gross to me. Like
The
something
face
about like
feels gross. The whole thing feels kind of gross.
the face I can understand. It's like a doll, but the arm just feels like it's like a horror movie contortionist. Like
Yeah, the whole thing's kind of like a horror movie.
My favorite thing though, I do like the well, two things is the they have the instead of like the they have like an observatory thing where like they could see like the stars or whatever, but then I think that's inside the Going Merry head. I like the Going Merry head.
Yeah,
that's a nice touch, like in the middle, as far as like an ode to, and it's like it's honestly done better than the Going Merry. Like the Going Merry on the front, it had like a neck brace and everything. Going Merry strong in the middle, protected. I like that. That's
I like
cool
that.
One.
That's like the egg on Roger's ship.
Yeah,
but it's just the Going Merry's head.
Yeah. Do you think it's the real Going? Do you think that they found
the
Going? Could you imagine they're like swimming underneath Water 7 or whatever?
Just looking for parts of the ship.
Yeah.
Not worth. That ship was made out of cotton, dude.
Yeah. Oh, not Adamwood?
No. Oh, no. Like, I'm talking about the Going Merry, not Barto's ship. Yeah. So we go on to the next part, and we go over to Hachinosu, Pirate Island. And we see that Blackbeard has finally arrived. And he's yanking on Pizarro's chain, saying, hey,
stepping on his tongue.
Yeah, like, what did you do here, man? Kobe's out of here? Like, dude, people are going to be after these damn poneglyphs. The Navy, the world government, my fellow Yonko. Like, you can't just let Kobe get away. He was like a trading piece. And then he also learns that not only did Kobe escape, but Moria did too. And that is, it's pretty key. I mean, we already knew that Moria escaped, right? I think we were on the same boat.
Yeah.
But, there were some people who were still a little bit iffy about that. But we finally learned that Moria is 1000% out of here. And with that being the case, where do you think Moria is going? I feel like we've talked about that a lot, but just like, how do you feel now that we know, like, this is all here?
I think like for me, and it's been not hard, but more so like, so I made 3 videos and I knew that this was coming, and that's why I made the videos, was that like Oda was very intentional about how the news was deliberated throughout the Egghead arc. A news was given, and then a bunch of characters were mobilized. It's very contingent, and then the sparks were made when like a character acted before the news was out, because then you're like, wait, what was their motive? How did they get this? And it leads to a bunch of like understandings. For example, it's like for me, one of the ones that was really interesting was Akainu, and this is 100% now. When Law and Blackbeard were fighting on Winter's Island, there's nobody there, just Law and Blackbeard, and yet while they were fighting, Akainu gets a Denden Mushi call telling them that they have now started fighting, which is crazy because later on, and something I discussed is like, okay, well, Akainu's definitely getting this before any news is being told. And we now know this because Morgan's had the news, but much later. He had posted like 9 different headlines before he's saying like, oh, should I post about this? And he never did. Or we don't know if he did. He was debating, and like Vivi countered him about the Luffy stuff. So we don't know if he posted about the Kid Shanks stuff and the Law Blackbeard stuff. But that had been like 3 days or 2 days difference, or however many days. I have to go back and see when the Morgan stuff was, because that's after Egghead. So I don't know if like a day or 2 passed. Anyways, the point is that like that Law Blackbeard thing was really interesting, because then it's like, okay, so then there's been a lot of times where Blackbeard has acted before the Navy has posted up stuff. There's been a lot of times where Blackbeard had information that only the Navy was propagating, not even Big News Morgans. And so my last video was talking about how the character that might be involved in that is Lafitte. Lafitte might be acting as somehow. Now, in this chapter didn't substantiate the full theory, but it substantiated the positioning that Lafitte is the person that's leaking marriage law, leaking Navy, leaking world government stuff. And that's all like super important, because when we go to with the timeline and like things to do with like Moria, it depends with like what information he has. Did he hear the message that Vegapunk had? Because I want to assume that like yeah, all the characters did, but like I don't know if we can assume that all the characters did because like would Oda just show Moria, but then Oda wouldn't want us to see it. So if Moria knows the message, he might be like in the Buggy state where Buggy was gave up on his dreams and then he was like, oh wait, Shanks is moving. Oh wait, now is the time to go for the Pirate Dreams. If Moria heard the message, it might revitalize the pre-Wano Moria that was like Joy Boy, Luffy, whatever. And he's like, the world's fate is this. I should do this. And the thing about Moria is that Moria is also like one of those characters that doesn't really go under other characters. Like, you know what I mean? Like Blackbeard's was a weird one because he killed Absalom, so like he wouldn't go under Moria in the Blackbeard in the first place. But like, you know, I know we talked about like cross guild, but like, is Moria the type of character to do that? I don't know. But it's like for me, it's like I don't even know where to go with it because it's the message dependent. I'm like 80% feeling like he should have heard the message. It'd be weirder if he's like acting without the message at this point in the story. But in the world where he heard the message, if he heard the message, he might line up with like Buggy. I feel like if he heard the message, he'd be more inclined to line up with Buggy, given the stakes that are involved. Without the message, I don't think that he would go to Cross Guild because like why? And like would he want revenge for Absalom? Sure, but like would he want to do that with Buggy's help? I don't know, because the way his character arc is like he got defeated by Kaido handedly. He had his entire crew wiped out. What did he do? He isolated himself, and he like had a weird coping mechanism with corpses. And so it's like I don't know what he necessarily does without the message, but with the message, Cross Guild. That's where I would go with.
Yeah, I think either way, I think he'd go with Cross Guild. And it would be because of Perona as well. Like, if they have nowhere to go, no crew, Perona would want to go back to Mihawk. And I don't know if you saw the Vivre card stuff, but... Yeah, the Vivre card stuff showed that Oda was originally going to make Perona one of the main members of Cross Guild.
From what it was scribbles, but it looked like Perona's a very, you could tell her apart from other girls.
For Mihawk, he drew like the hat and the sword, and then for Crocodile, you had like the scar, and then for Perona, there were like the bangs. So you could see that right alongside those guys, it was Perona. It was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's either Perona or Ahiru, right?
Because and what Oda's editors or his team wrote was like, oh, like Oda originally considered different ideas for Cross Guild, like, but is he still adding more people today? And it like ended with a question mark. So it's like, yo, like the fact that even the team was like, oh, like what could this mean? You know, it's like, okay, all right, like don't put Perona on the poster. Instead, put Moria. Like it's easy. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And I do like the Cross Guild route because like not only would this put Moria in that final saga as well with all the big dogs, but it would be a good way to get back on Blackbeard. Because if Buggy is an emperor, if he is going for the One Piece or whatever, then if Buggy gets it, Blackbeard doesn't. So I could see that being another reason why Cross Guild is just the perfect fit for him. And then of course, like there's the whole things with the shadows, you know, the zombies, the dead Marines.
Right.
Like it just works.
Yeah, Moria is probably the best warlord to be in Cross Guild with the circus theme too, because of like his zombies were the most comedic thing in like One Piece like history when he put that zombie back down. Like, and then he had the circus thing inside, not the circus, but like a carnival festival tent setup, which you know could go back to like medieval times, Renaissance times because of the layout.
Where they were fighting the zombie generals. Yeah.
But then you go back to the whole thing about bounties. Hey, if we're killing these Navy people, maybe we don't throw out their strong bodies. Maybe, hey, T-Bone, let's get him as a
T-Bone,
corpse.
brother.
Yeah, and like, you know, various characters fall in. But then just to go back like to the Perona thing, like easily, like when I saw that easily, I was like, oh, he wasn't planning on having Perona ask Kobe for help. He was probably having Perona ask Buggy for help and saying like, hey, like in the same light of Helmeppo begging for everybody, hey, can we save Kobe? Can we save Kobe? He has it with the Yonko, right? Realistically, what's his face? Pringles guy. What's his name? Prince Goose. Prince Goose is like, bro, like, we don't got that sauce. Like, I don't know who you think we is, but we don't Yonko level. And then Garp is like, I am Yonko level. And then he comes in, he saves the day. And so Perona's like a character who's very like intellectual. Like, she's planning, she's thinking. And so when it comes to that, realistically, does she think that she can go into a Yonko territory when Moria did and failed and then save them? Maybe she knows where Moria is, and then she's like, who can I ask for help? Let me go. And Mihawk doesn't want to help. So then Mihawk's with Cross Guild. So she goes back to Cross Guild. It's like, hey, can you guys save Moria? Please, anybody? And then that could have been why she was there. And she was like, if you guys save him, Moria will join or whatever. And so that could have been the plot line Oda played with originally, is like, instead of having Perona just simply ask Kobe and then get saved there, he makes it a whole thing with Cross Guild, which would make a lot of sense. But also, the reason why he probably didn't do that is because of story time. Like,
yeah,
that would have,
and plus he probably wanted Garp to take the fall here too.
Yeah, like 3 birds, 4 birds.
Which makes me wonder, if Perona asked Mihawk, like, hey, could you rescue Moria? I wonder if he would have, because she didn't ask.
Yeah. I think like at that. So like, obviously this is a headcanon about Cross Guild, but like, if Perona was in the poster, right, then it'd be how the decisions are made is great, because it was Crocodile and Mihawk, and then the other person on the poster being Perona. You would think that she would have like
that
decision making. Yeah, and then when Buggy puts his foot down, it's just on the One Piece stuff. But then they were talking about it, like, wait, so like, if we're actually doing this, we have to fight Luffy, we have to fight Shanks, we have to fight Blackbeard. And in that light, who would they want to fight the most? They're not fighting Shanks. I don't like, Mihawk, not saying that he doesn't want to, but like Buggy and Shanks, like, they're kind of like,
they're cabin brothers. Yeah.
Or Buggy and Mihawk are interestingly related to Shanks. And then when it comes to Luffy, it's like, whatever. Like, I don't think that they would want to go, because also Mihawk has the weird thing with Zoro. He's like, oh, it's too soon. Like, you could make up a lot of funny reasons. But with the Blackbeard thing, it could have been like, that could have been the way Oda mobilized Buggy towards getting, and that would have made a lot of sense to get Moria. Like, yeah, we meme on him about like Warlord power scaling stuff, but like, realistically, Moria's like one of the craziest warlords. That's why he was the last one.
If you utilize him well, Moria's cracked. Like, I remember back when Buggy said, let's claim the One Piece, I think it was Crocodile or Mihawk who said it, they need military might. Like, there's like, even with all their forces, they still think they need more. So why not get Moria, right? Because Moria can just bolster that army with zombies.
I think when Cross Guild was revealed, like, a lot of people were thinking like warlords are coming into the play. Moria was the easiest one to put like together. The hardest part about the Moria thing was at the time he was on Hachinosu. But then once we got the whole Perona plotline and the Kobe plotline, then it's like, oh,
yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
one way or the other.
Yes. And now it's like, I think it's like locked in once we got that favorite card of it. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this is just OG planning here.
You kind of like brought up Cross Guild mobilizing on Blackbeard for Perona, but what do you think about Mihawk specifically? Because that's when Perona left. She left well before the Shishibukai were disbanded. It was just her, Zoro, and Mihawk on an island, and then Perona was like, hey, Zoro's gone, I'm gonna go too now because Moria's alive. Like, do you think Mihawk alone would fulfill this promise, or no? Do you think he just didn't know her for that long yet? Because it's been 2 years, actually. I was about to say, it's not that long, but they've been together for a while.
I don't think unilaterally, like, in the sense, because like, the way I would look at it is kind of like, he's like, the two things is like, well, if Blackbeard has him and we don't see him, he's dead. So me going there, what, you just want his dead body? And then Perona be like, you're so cruel, you're so harsh. And then the opposite's like, well, like, if he's alive, he's fine. Why do I have to go save? He's alive. He's a grown man. Like, let him deal with his own shit.
I could see that.
So that's what I would think Mihawk would say in that light. It's like, unless like he was like being executed like on like Ace style, and then Perona's begging like, you can stop this. Are you too weak to stop them? And Mihawk's like, well, Blackbeard has 3 swords on his hands, so like, is he trying to claim the title?
Yeah, I gotta go fight him now.
Like, he can maybe come up with an excuse, but that's why I like the Cross Guild imbuement of like, if Perona, because that's what's cool about Perona. Like, I don't think she needs a ship. She just like flies with an umbrella, and she's like a ghost, so like she could just do shit, right? So like, she's on Hachinosu. She's like, okay, how do I save them? So she flies to Cross Guild on an umbrella. And then like she's like, Mihawk, please, and then like maybe Mihawk's like, hey, listen, he's a grown man, his own decisions. Like he's like, no, I know he's about to die, like they're gonna do something, blah blah blah. And he's like, shit, brother, I don't know what to do. And then Crocodile could overhear and be like, wait, no, actually, Moria would be really useful. Or like Crocodile could be like, no, wait, this is actually a very tactical decision. If we find out Blackbeard's not there, why not go? You know, like,
and plus,
I could have seen like that.
Blackbeard wasn't home at the time too. Like if they knew that, my God.
Yeah, and Perona probably did know that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so like.
Okay. How about this? The people who are on Hachinosu versus Cross Guild, who would win? Their strongest hitter is probably just Kuzan. They're kind of the same, but Mihawk is such a force. I thought you meant fodder. I think Mihawk, Kuzan are like. You think they're equal?
At minimum, they negate each other in this conversation. At minimum.
Yeah.
Is what we take the tying meme with Mihawk and we apply it to like Admiral's strength. I think at minimum, they just negate each other in the fight. And then when it comes to everybody else, like Crocodile should be strong enough.
Yeah.
To like handle the rest.
Yeah, and plus like Buggy has like a whole bunch of mercenaries. I'd give it to Cross Guild, to be honest. I think Mihawk is such a force that he would. Yeah, I think him and Crocodile would carry hard.
You have Baroque's works.
Oh yeah, and then you have like Mr. 1, Mr. 3.
Baroque's works, and the Impel down level 5, level 4, and Blackbeard has some of them too. But I think Buggy probably has more of them. And then like at the end of the day, like Mr. 1. Like I think would it be Mr. 1 and Shiryu?
Yeah,
like,
Mr. 1 versus Shiryu would be crazy.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying that Shiryu shouldn't win that, but like that would probably be another one of those like negate fights. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, or if Shiryu wins, like Crocodile steps in and then he beats him.
Yeah.
I give it a Cross Guild. I think Crocodile and Mihawk are just such a force, dude. And then you add in like all the cannon fodder, like, you know, Richie, Moji, Kabaji. It's like, oh god, Alvida.
Yeah.
It's like you got a wacky ass group here.
Yeah, the only I think the hardest one would be Pizarro because like he's just like an AoE island and like as far as like
bomb.
Like you got me. What happened? Oh, but yeah,
the buggy bomb. It can destroy a town, dude. Oh my god, he just destroys Pizarro with it.
Yeah, and like and then at the end of the day, like you could say Crocodile could just like wipe him like he did to Alabasta. Like he just like turned to dust, and then I was like, I'm thirsty.
Yeah, dude. I think Cross Guild will take it. Yep. No Blackbeard, no like Van Augur, no Burgess. Yeah, I think Cross Guild has this handily.
Yeah, Blackbeard not being there is a huge like.
Oh my god! And then you release if you release Moria during the battle, they're
raps.
It's raps.
You're talking about your post-prison Moria.
Yeah, post-prison bloodlust Moria. Release him during the battle. Oh yeah.
Dude, I'm so ready to
Cross
see
Guild would win.
This is why Oda's been hiding Moria, because we're gonna see like Giga Chad, like fucking like. I
really think so. Like. If Moria wasn't jacked or like something changed about him, I think Oda would have shown him by now. I think there's a reason. Same with Weevil. I throw Weevil in the same boat. We never saw Weevil after Armaki beat him. So it's I think these characters have changed, dude. Defeat and loss will change a person. Like
Denjiro.
Here's
another thing for
Denjiro.
For one of my the theory that coming up soon. Weevil's the only warlord that Oda never drew as a kid. Wonder why?
I wonder why. Was he skinny? Maybe,
who knows?
Dude. Maybe.
But like, I'm imagining like we get Moria and like he gets like the Dawn Creek treatment. Like we don't even recognize him aside from like insignia, like the bat wings.
What would you say if when we see Moria, dude, he has like a chin and everything. He's chiseled out. Like what if he's like Kuma? What if he's like the next Buccaneer? Like people start looking at Moria, they're like, oh my god, it's a Buccaneer.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. Like he like. Unironically, like he has the body shape of like a sad Buccaneer. He has sad boy jeans.
Yeah, dude, I love Moria, man. This character, he's always been like one of my favorites in a weird way. Like he's never been like top 5, but he's always like top 10. He's like around there. Moria's just so cool. So I'm glad he's coming back.
Relatable. I'm not remembering all of Moria, but like when you think about like Moria's plight, it's like Like he was just sitting back, like Luffy is just causing mayhem, and he's just like, brother, you're too weak, and he just had his shadow fight him. Like that's crazy. That was
Yeah.
one of my favorite things of like I was like, yo, like this is a warlord. You know, like when we were starting out the story, like it's Crocodile and then Moria. And then Moria is boxing Luffy with his shadow. And I was like, no, this is different. That's
Moria was
crazy.
literally sitting down and, Luffy tried to hit him. The shadow
Like,
stopped it. And then I think after Luffy, like, got rid of the shadow for a little bit, I think he just outran him. Moria just looked at him and he started running around the mansion. He's like, I don't want to fight you. Like, it's not worth it, dude. Like, Moria was kind of cold.
Yeah, and the thing is like if we're retconning hockey, which like Crocodile in a certain extent is a example, right? Like he's gonna 2 years later, all of a sudden he has god tier hockey, god tier in comparison to Alabasta, which is no hockey to now hockey is god tier hockey. Moria is probably gonna be the same way.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, bro, if you just gave Moria hockey back then, Luffy's dead like every day. Like there's not Luffy's it gets spawn killed like Moria just bops his ass with his shadow. God help if you could coat like the thing is his powers of paramecia, and we know that you can coat paramecia powers with hockey like Doflamingo was doing, right? So God
hockey
help
shadows,
everybody
dude.
The shadow bats had hockey on them.
Dude, imagine if Moria,
God.
when he creates zombies nowadays, all the zombies have hockey.
Hockey. Right?
Whoa!
That's why Oda had
Be nuts.
if Moria won at Wano, Moria would be the most insane Yonko.
Yeah, he was clashing with
100%.
Kaido back in the day, brother. My God. Yeah.
If he won and his zombies had hockey, and like that would be like the way he like he has to disperse his hockey through all the zombies. He's just sitting back. Like that was my favorite part. Was like because we got that he was like super depressed afterwards, but I don't think we beforehand we got that he fought Kaido.
No.
So he was just leaning against the wall, just like belly up, just like super depressed, like a couch potato, like super relatable. Like and then he's just like, man, why are you trying so hard? You know you're weak, right? And then he's like, this is how weak you are at Shadow. And then he's like, this is how weak you are at zombies. And like that shit worked. You add hockey to that shit going to work.
I wonder what happened to Hogback now. Like, do you think Hogback's gonna make a comeback in the story? Because last we saw, he was with Absalom. But it's like, okay, Absalom's dead. They never said they killed Hogback too. So there's a chance Hogback is out there somewhere. What if we see Hogback with Dr. Vegapunk? Or do you think we'll see him with Cross Guild when Moria shows back up or something?
Dr. Vegapunk would be like, are you the genius guy who figured out the weight of a soul?
21 grams? Is that you? The legendary Dr. Hogback?
From the West Blue, I've read your papers.
Yeah, Dr. Vegapunk's like, he starts fanboying a little bit. Like, my God. Oh, maybe with the Hogback, we get like more Buccaneer stuff. In a strange way, yeah.
He's like, let me tell you, I've worked on plenty of Buccaneer corpses in my day. The world government was just tossing them off the red line like they were cotton candy.
Dude, Hogback's gonna make a comeback, 2025. I feel it. Now that we have Gecko Moria, coming back into play, we're talking about him with Cross Guild. It reignites. I feel like whenever we get Cross Guild and we get developments with these warlords, it always like ignites the other sparks around the warlord conversation, like Doflamingo, for example. Yeah. Like now that we're, this is becoming more plausible, do you see Doflamingo or maybe even Boa Hancock joining Cross Guild or no?
I think every time in the story, as the story progresses, the more warlords we add to Buggy, the more likely the rest of it will follow the line. That's just how I see it. And for me, it's now, but like right now, my state of mind is Moria's locked in because of that favorite card thing. Like especially because of that favorite card thing. Not only is it like feels like it's hinted in the story, but it's also like it was an original idea that Oda had. So because of that, now I'm just treating it like it's just a matter of time. Moria's joining. So because that's my state of mind at the moment, I think that, the rest of the warlords, like original warlords, I guess, will join. Not the, like Weevil is an interesting one because like if Doflamingo joins, that's post
Impel Down break.
Weevil's in Impel Down. So why would we discriminate warlords at that point? At that point, like Weevil joining Cross Guild, like he would be their strongest soldier. My God, like
physical powerhouse.
He's been solo doing everything. Not a single help. All the other warlords have a fleet, have people. You know, we could say, yeah, Mihawk was like alone. Like at that rate, Mihawk and Weevil were the two solo dolo surviving as warlords that disbanded, disjointed on the sea. It was Weevil and Mihawk in that light.
You know, now that I think about it, if all the warlords plus Weevil were to join Cross Guild, they would give Shanks' crew a run for the money when it comes to the most balanced crew.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, all the warlords, my God. Plus,
that's why from the start,
like the bottom tier, like, you know, Galdino and, you know, Mr. One, all these guys. Oh, my God.
That's why there's a cross section in like when it comes to this conversation where, like, because I remember when it came out, you were the one who brought all the warlords joining to the thing. That's like when we first started collabing too. And I was like, oh, I really like that idea. And then you're like people have been talking about this for a minute now, Par. Where have you been? I was like, I just me on my computer, this and that. And then you brought that. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. And then the cross section is that it's cross guild, but cross section is that my take has always been, and the reason why I like that a lot is because I've always said that the Rocks crew, it just is cross guild. It's like the most similar, and if we're talking about characters that ended up becoming Yonkos because they were all super strong, and then later on we got Kaido saying like any Rocks pirate after this timeline, they're all going to be known. That's what like Kaido said, and then they did. And we're talking about like balanced people who each on their own could be making their own crew. Who is like that? The warlords. The warlords are literally like that. And so like when I made that theory, I didn't even think about the other warlords, but you add the other warlords, that just fills out the rest of the Rocks crew right there. And that's why I like that's where the cross section for me is, where it's like, yeah, you add all the warlords, and that theory where it's like they are the mirror to the Rocks crew is the Rocks crew. I'm not saying Rocks himself, because a lot of people like get confused. It's like you can pick apart a character and say like Blackbeard is following Rocks' dream, and the Rocks crew is like most similar to Cross Guild. That doesn't have to change Blackbeard, like Blackbeard's path. And it could be that Luffy and Rocks had the similar dream. It could be that Luffy, Rocks, and Roger had the similar. We don't even know. It could be that it was flipped. We don't even know if Blackbeard and Roger had. Oh well, we kind of know because like Oda's been drawing it. But like the point is that you could pick apart characters and have multiple different parallels. That doesn't abstain or doesn't change how different parts of the story reflect each other. And Cross Guild getting all the warlords, yeah, it would fit so many ways under the sun that I would love it. It would just make the story interesting. It would cut away from a lot of times we had to, like if I want to see this other faction, Doflamingo and crew, then like when we're talking about like, hey Sai, what's coming after Egghead before Elbaf? What are the groups we're talking about? Then we have to consider like a whole separate entity and what they're gonna do. Whereas we could just put them all underneath Cross Guild and it would make sense. And why wouldn't we? Like Doflamingo also has the whole like, if anything, he was the previous Cross Guild guy, but then also he has the whole like the tightrope act. Like he walks on tightropes, you know, like he's like the circus themed, you know, he's like that. So it just fits in really well.
Yeah, really like and that. You know, going back to what, you know, Crocodile and Mihawk were talking about, they said they needed power and they needed money. And it's like, yo, if they want money, Doflamingo is the Underworld Emperor guy, right? He's over here dealing weapons and working with the black market. It's like, yo, Doflamingo joining, it fits. That's exactly what they need right now. And then plus, you know, if Doflamingo joins, you know, Senior Pink makes a comeback. I was about to say, like, Dellinger makes a comeback. Like, all these other people also join. And it's like, yeah, they're going to have like such a crazy crew by the end of story. And I'm excited for it. Like, it's going to be Oda's way of bringing back so many old faces. And that's what I'm the most excited for too.
Wait.
What's up?
No, this is dumb. This is a dumb idea, but it can have a cover story. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go for it.
What if the other person in the stealing women is Boa? Like she hears everyone's safe and then she's like stealing Amazonians. And that's how we get the Yamato lineage, is she's Amazonian.
Boa is stealing women from Wano?
Not stealing women, but they're willingly going. And they're like, oh, you're an Amazonian. Do you want to come to the Isle of Women? And then they're like, yeah, let's go. And then Yamato finds out, like, wait, who are you? And then they both like know Luffy. And then that's where Yamato finds out, like, oh, wait, my mom is from Amazon Lily? Because that's a theory too, right? That one of the theories is that Yamato's mom is one of the
Yeah.
empresses slash from Amazon Lily slash Gloriosa, which yeah, it could be, but we don't
Could
know.
be. I
Yeah.
don't think Boa's doing it though. It seems too roundabout for Boa.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
plus, like we had the thing where like somebody was running away too.
Yeah, like because you'd have to flip the timeline, but like if it was that Amazon Lily did it no wait, Amazon Lily did happen before, but Blackbeard went to Amazon Lily before Wano ended, right? Because it said like a few weeks prior.
I don't remember.
I'm not remembering exactly because Blackbeard says, "Let's pack your bags, let's go." That place ended up being Amazon Lily. That was chapter 956, and in the Amazon Lily thing, it said few weeks prior. Because the way I'm thinking about it was like afterwards, Bo was like, "I want to see Luffy," and then she sees the newspaper like, "Oh, Luffy's on Wano. Let's go to Wano," and then she goes to Wano, and then it just ends up being like, "Oh, women, come! I am the Empress of the Isle of Women. Do you hate being geisha? Oh yeah, what if she's just stealing the geishas? Like she's like, oh, this is a terrible practice, and then she's still. Oh, and then that would be kind of crazy too because Boa's island is like a Chinese thematic, and then Japan is Wano, and then they.
No, I don't think it's happening. I don't think Boa's kidnapping the women.
Yo, it'd be crazy.
Or even like luring them.
The reason why it would the only reason why it would make sense is if there was a Yamato connection because it's a Yamato cover story.
Yeah.
But that's on the theory that like I don't even know when that theory existed, but it's not a terrible theory. It's just like a theory that we can't like say anything about because there's nothing to say yay or nay to. If we want to say who Yamato mom was, then Boa is stealing the woman. That'd be wild.
I think Yamato is still connected to Amazonians with Gloriosa, but I don't think Boa is going to be making an appearance in Wano.
Yeah,
or like if she does, it's
connected.
with Cross Guild, right?
I'm not saying that if Boa doesn't show up, Yamato's not connected. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it'd be a cool way for Oda to do it via a cover story.
I think what could happen is that maybe like Boa joins Cross Guild for whatever reason. Maybe it's to find Luffy or, maybe it's just like so they can protect their hometown of Amazon Lily. And then Buggy's like, hey, like we need people to go to Wano to get the Poneglyph or whatever. And then Boa's the one that goes there. And then that's when we get the run-in with Yamato. And we don't even have to get the whole thing where like she's like, oh, you're Amazonian. Like I think Yamato, knowing Oda, he would probably just like not have them say that at all.
Yamato versus Boa.
Boa. Oh wait, no, sorry, Yamato.
I'm talking about strength.
Yamato.
Okay. Who would you want to be kidnapped by?
Boa.
Is it the forehead?
No, Boa just has the personality for it.
Okay, yeah.
So the next thing we see is that San Juan Wolf is trying to put the buildings back together, but he's just causing more mayhem. Some silly, goofy scenes, and dude, every time I see the Blackbeard pirates interact like this, like outside of fighting, they do remind me of the Strawhats. They're just like a silly group of pirates,
Yeah.
Just a bunch of big personalities. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, besides Blackbeard stepping in Pizarro's mouth, aside from that, like San Juan Wolf, he's probably the best wolf in the story. Like Tequila Wolf, Vodka Wolf, not one of my favorites.
Not a lot of competition, to be honest.
Yeah. San Juan Wolf is he's
up there.
just hilarious. Yeah, he's hilarious.
Who's your favorite Blackbeard pirate?
He's giant. Lafitte at the moment.
Lafitte? That's hard. Like we just don't have enough Lafitte scenes for me to actually like him too much.
Well, so like in my I dissected Lafitte in my last video, so like it's very fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
But like without Lafitte, Blackbeard's not a warlord. They didn't even know about Blackbeard. And like Lafitte is the one who negotiated the warlord thing, and with again, he walked up to Mare Joie, Mihawk, Doflamingo, Kuma, Sengoku, Suru, and he's dying.
Wait a minute,
there's no shot.
So do you like him narratively, or do you think he's like a cool character, or both? Because I was like leaning more towards the side of like, who do you think is coolest?
I think both, because like he just shows up and he's just like, yeah, I did that. Like Marineford, like Sengoku's like, how did you guys get here? He's like, I opened the door. What do you mean? Like it was that easy. Like he just like the only thing that like I'm not a mime person. Like Mr. Mime was always weird to me in Pokemon, but like aside from that, like he's got like when he shows up, like even in this chapter, right? The fact that he just like casually just like Yeah, the
hanging
pod
back.
was be blowing up, bro. Yeah, like he just has like a feel to him that is like cool. The anime did him a little bit dirty
Did
with
they?
the Kuzan. It's not dirty, but like in visual, right? Because I posted
Yeah.
that video in the thing, and like when he's talking to Blackbeard, he's like, "Oh, maybe we should steal his power." I pointed out how crazy it is that a character that's visually a mime, but known for stealth, known for espionage, was whispering so loudly that Kuzan could hear him say that. And I was like, doesn't it feel like he did that on purpose then? This is a character that's known for sneaking in, known so silent that Mihawk, Doflamingo, nobody knew he was there, and yet Kuzan heard him whisper about a plan.
No, no, no. It's like a Nell. It's like a Nell. You know, a Nell. You know, he was tapped in with electricity. Kuzan's iced in because here I'm gonna cope. But
yeah,
Blackbeard and Lafitte, they were drinking some beer, and in the beer was ice. So I think Kuzan heard it from the ice.
Oh yeah,
he heard from the ice cubes.
I'm just saying that when we look at Lafitte, every situation, no one hears him, no one sees him. He just walks in, and then the one time someone hears him, it leads to Kuzan joining the Blackbeard Pirates. Like ultimately so. And the weird thing is the part that I'm saying about the anime is that they made it look like everyone was like insanely terrified, which sure they should be, right? But it is like they like went in on Lafitte's face. I was like, yo, the manga didn't go like that crazy on Lafitte. Like everyone was scared, yeah, sure, right? Even Blackbeard, I think in the anime, Blackbeard was like, oh, but then he like put his foot down and he's just like, and then he negotiated with Kuzan's like, hey, how about you join us, right? And he's like apologizing for Lafitte, but like when it comes to Lafitte, he's like every time there's a pivotal thing for Blackbeard, it's Lafitte. Lafitte with the Warlord, Lafitte with Marineford and Impel Down, Lafitte with Kuzan. He was the one who said the thing that sparked Kuzan, whether negative or positive. Lafitte now with this thing, and in my opinion, Lafitte's probably the person who's been giving Blackbeard all of the intel on the Marines, especially now that we see him giving the intel on the Navy and Meridroit to Blackbeard. And he's like, call up Lafitte. And it's like, if that's his role 100%, like that would just lock it in. But even with what we've seen on the screen, it's like my guy's like walked up to me. Like the thing is, it's like at Marineford, right? Not Marineford, Meridroit. There's a handful of characters that are walking in that room and like not pissing themselves. Mihawk, Doflamingo say like it's a handful of killers, and he's just like, huh, I knew you guys were gonna talk about the Warlord. He like precogged the conversation, entered right in perfectly. It's like I knew you guys were gonna talk about that loser crocodile. And how about we replace him with Blackbeard? It's like, who's Blackbeard? What? And then there's like, don't worry, we are gonna make our names known. Bet on it. And then it went through. They got Ace, and they're like, "Oh shit, Blackbeard." And then even Moria was like, "Who's Blackbeard? Why they sign on some loser?" And then he's like, "What bounties do you have?" Kuma's like 0, and Lafitte walked in and pushed a 0 bounty guy for a thing, and didn't even say anything else. And said, "Just believe it.
Yeah,
we got this. That's it." And that's crazy to me.
Damn. Yeah,
I like that.
I like how solidified you are in Lafitte being your favorite Blackbeard member.
I mean, there's like Burgess is kind of cool, but like he's a character we've only seen like one dimensional of. Yeah. I feel like when we get more, but like Lafitte has like the demon sheriff epithet. Like that's crazy. Like Sengoku saw him and was like, wait a second, you're the demon sheriff of the West Blue? That's fucking who? Huh?
Yeah,
like, that's wild.
I'm a big fan of Shiryu, but the problem with Shiryu is that I don't like how weak he is, or he seems to be right now. I feel like he's gonna be stronger, but you know, I do base some of my coolness factor off of how strong they are. And Shiryu, like he hasn't shown anything super crazy. He doesn't have like a black blade. His swordsmanship, I feel like it's there, but we haven't really seen it. He's just stabbed people and killed guards.
Like if we're talking about fraudulent titles, like his one's a little bit more like he had a whole power dynamic in the people he killed. Like he's literally the warden walking up like
the one thing he has going for him is that he's like an equal to Magellan, but we haven't seen that.
Yeah, and he was also afraid of him too. And Magellan technically won in that regard because Shiryu was in prison, not Magellan.
Yeah, and so, then Magellan was also Magellan was like Kaido in Impel Down. Like he was fighting person after person after person after person. So the fact that Magellan eventually lost to Blackbeard's group a second time around, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And then the Shiryu thing is like the expectation. Like Lafitte doesn't have the expectation of power, so I can't dislike that part. But Shiryu is like I think in that thing, like Oda clarifies, like the second strongest person in the crew, and like Shiryu's there, and like now he's not even that because Kuzan's there, right? So it's like Shiryu doesn't even, he got demoted from that, so he doesn't have that. And then what we've seen, we haven't really. It's like all the one thing that he does have that we should like about him, he doesn't really have. But the one, like I wanted to say Shiryu, but the thing is with Shiryu, is like he's like a not. I'm not gonna like. Of the crew, he's like the most likable baseline. You know what I mean? Like, look at him sitting in the thing. Like, he has the coat, he has the demeanor. Like, he's sitting there. He's like the only like normal, not normal, but like when talking about badasses, like he looks more badass than Blackbeard in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And
yeah.
unironically,
and then, like,
go for it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like Van Augur comes close, but like Van Augur's a weird one because like. Like sharpshooters in One Piece, you joking? Like,
yeah,
like it's a sure.
I liked Van Augur at first, is what I was gonna say too, but I don't like his post time skip stubble. Like like it's like he's almost there to like get a mustache and almost like a beard, a goatee, but it's like it's not there yet, so it's kind of like awkward. I'm like, okay, like just and he's in the awkward stages of growing facial hair.
Yeah, and then his bullet got blocked by John Bart.
Yeah. Outside of that, like I think my second favorite would be
the anime
Vasco
did him
Shot.
dirty too.
Unironically, I do like Vasco Shot. I think he's pretty cool. The alcohol fruit is interesting.
So, what do you think about him hocking up his nose right now?
I think it's always just like that. I don't even think it's hockey. I think it's just the trope of like drinking so much. It's like it's just red.
That's the thing, but sometimes Oda draws it normal. No.
When we saw Vasco Shot at Amazon Lily, wasn't it just red and not black?
It wasn't blackened like this. It's not like a Kaku nose.
But I think it looked the same, like in the manga of Amazon Lily. No, it didn't actually. Huh. No. Yeah, I have no clue what's going on with his nose. I think it's just like red from drinking. That's my headcanon. He drank
so much. Yeah, it's probably going to be something like that.
I'm excited for his fruit. I think he has not the best fruit, but I think it's like the funnest fruit out of the group.
Well, we don't know what it does.
Glug.
Like, that's the weird thing. Like right now, he's just using it as a bubble transportation. Like I don't know exactly. And well, hey, given this chapter and what it did to the Strawhats, it's good setup. But the thing is, like, we don't know.
Oh, he's the red fairy.
Yeah, like we don't know if he can get that. And what I was gonna say about Van Augur, he also like lost on the strength part too. The anime did him so dirty with the teleportation thing, because like when if you had the teleport fruit or the warp fruit, sorry, and you're fighting a giant monster bear. Yeah, let me teleport just behind him, and while trying to snipe him. Do you remember the anime scene where Beppo rushes him, and then the anime has Van Augur just teleport just behind. The biggest waste of TP I've ever seen. When we've seen him teleport to the sky. What is the polar bear supposed to do then? And so instead, all Beppo does is he just turns around with the block and hits, and Van Augur's and I'm like, all right, that's negative, like. Not to be like a zoomer, but like that's negative. That's actually negative aura right there. Like,
yeah, the anime kind of did him dirty.
So dirty. Because that didn't happen in the manga. They all equally got folded by like Blackbeard got hit, but like no one else got like done dirty like that in the anime.
Yeah, rest in peace, Van Augur. He's gonna look better though. I feel it. The Black Recruit's so cool.
All of Van Augur's scenes so far have been non-canon. The one with when he's one-shotting Cracker's biscuits, when he gets blasted by the boulder with Beppo, and then the other one where the John Bart bullet one. Did the manga show him getting hit?
Yeah.
Oh shit! All right, so no, that one's canon.
Yeah, that one's canon.
It just looked worse in the anime, is all.
I don't think it was that bad. I thought it was like a silly concept where John Bart gets hit. He's like, oh, that guy has crazy defense. It's like, what? Huh? And block the bullet?
Yeah, and then you put it next to hit, because then we're saying he has more defense than Cracker's biscuits.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that yet.
So much so that like the biscuits got one hit and John Bart got tickled by the same bullet. Yeah, and my thing is not the John Bart's defense, it's that Van Augur has the warp fruit, so no one should be blocking him. If anything, Law is the best character to dodge Van Augur because he has the opposite. Like,
Just
like,
wait till Van Augur gets better with this fruit, right? Because he did say that he wasn't like he didn't fully master it yet.
I'm so glad you said that.
He didn't fully master his fruit yet. He's not used to it. He said that on Agate Island. He's like, I'm not really used to this yet. Like, just wait.
My brain
Eventually,
has been coping with that.
Eventually, he's gonna start warping his bullets to hit their target faster, slower, from different angles. He's gonna be so cracked.
Yeah. That's been the string. Like when I've been reviewing that thing, I'm like, oh, he said he didn't. He's still training. Yeah. I love it.
And that's the thing. Like when he fought Law's crew, that was before he even said he was rusty. You know, like, dude, we were talking about like day one Van Augur.
Yeah. We don't know when he got a fruit.
It could have been yesterday.
It could have been yesterday. See, yeah, maybe Van Augur's a second for me above Shiryu.
Yeah.
Because with Shiryu, it's like there's no real like I mean, like, yeah, like you need to train invisibility, but you can have a superhero and their struggle is like, how do I adjust it? But like realistically, his bread and butter is the sword and the sword slashing thing. The invisibility thing should be an accessory to it.
Oh, I think I know why I like Shiryu. I like his fit.
Yeah.
I like the guard outfit. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I've been tossing the cool around a lot, but I just keep on looking at this damn Blackbeard page. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome, dude.
That's what I was saying. Like, when you just look at them, like Shiryu's easily number one fit wise. Like, it's just, and
it's too good.
But then at the end of the day, it's not his fit. Is it lame to wear like someplace he got fired from?
No, it's not lame.
It's not lame.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Akatsuki still wearing the headband is scratched out.
Yeah, we're like wearing the Akatsuki robes after the Akatsuki's like, fodderized.
Yeah. I mean, those robes. If they had to pay dues to get those robes, I mean, hey, they paid for it.
Yeah,
right?
Why not? So the next thing we see is Garp. He's chained up. He looks like a demon in there, dude. Garp looks like a monster in there, and then Kuzan's like, I was trying to kill him, but he survived. I don't know if I believe that exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. I do think Kuzan was going in for the kill. Because you can't half-ass, fighting Garp. But I do think he already knew that Garp would probably live through all of it anyways.
Yeah, like the way.
Sure, he's like holding back, but like there's like this weird middle ground where Kuzan's at when it comes to that fight.
Yeah. Well, no. So like when I was reacting, I was going for the kill, and I see Garp is alive. I'm like, so why is Garp still alive? But the point is that basically Kuzan is saying like he had to take the fight as if he was killing Garp. And like, so the praise that he was like getting wasn't worthy because he didn't even mean for that. He was genuinely fighting for his life there.
Yeah.
And like,
one wrong move and then Kuzan would have just died. Well, then again, Garp was probably holding back because he didn't want to kill Kuzan.
Yeah. Like it's a balance sport.
Yeah.
It's not
a fun fight for either
basically,
people.
Well, and on the flip end, Garp was like, yo, if you don't fight me with the intent to kill, you're losing. Like Garp was goading him into that. And he's saying like, if you falter, you lose. And so Kuzan's like, I had to go for the kill, and like luckily he survived. And so like it's a good thing. And my question mark was like, okay, so he didn't want him to die. He was fighting as if he wanted to kill him. It's just luck had it be that he lived, and that's why Garp is still alive. And that finally puts to rest the huge, conundrum that people were putting Garp in, where they're like, oh, Garp died. I'm like, no, Garp, how are the same people that saying that Kid is alive saying that Garp is dead? Like, no, Garp is alive.
They're all alive for now.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, like Garp is the one character in the lineup. Like the anime, the intro had like Luffy, Lucci, Shanks, Kid, Blackbeard Law, and then Garp, Kuzan. Garp is the one character on the end who lost that put up a fight. Like Lucci, put up a fight, but not really. In the long run, like Luffy was like smacking his butt cheeks on it, and it's like Lucci's like, the fuck is happening? And then like Law, he put up a fight, sure, but like at the end of the day, like in comparison to Garp, no, Garp put up the biggest fight,
Yeah.
So like to say that Garp would have died out of that, I'm like, I don't know, guys. I think Garp is alive. If Law lived, if Kid lived, if all of these guys are living, Garp is alive.
For now, yeah. 100%. Until like we execute him or something else happens, but Garp is definitely still here.
Agree. I think my long run, like the thing is, if Blackbeard was on the island, and I think we said this multiple times, if Blackbeard ever showed up on the island, then Garp's days are numbered 100%. And like in the scope of the fight, like that's how I would take it. And here's the question: do you think that Blackbeard would have an easier time fighting Garp than Kuzan?
Say that again.
Do you think that Blackbeard would have an easier time fighting Garp than Kuzan? Kuzan said he was going for the kill. Do you think that Blackbeard would be able to subdue Garp?
Yeah.
Without
Kuzan,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Because I do put a lot on Blackbeard's stocks. I genuinely believe there's a lot more to Blackbeard than we've seen. Like the Shanks scarring thing, right? Like we don't know how he did that without a devil fruit. Now he's got two of them. We still think that Blackbeard might have like a third devil fruit perhaps if he has it yet.
Yeah.
So I think Blackbeard has so much in his bag that we just don't know of, that he's literally just like a giant question mark on the board. But you also throw in like the Logia fruit, then you also throw in like the Gura. It's like, yeah. And then plus like his coordination with the team here, right? Like you also have to take that in consideration. Like I think he would be able to take down Garp.
So there's people who would disagree with people who would agree, but I think a consensus point among that group that would respond to you is that like the people who would agree would be like, oh, but Blackbeard fights dirty, so like, yeah, he would win here, but he also fights dirty, right?
Yeah.
So like, and like the people who disagree with you saying that Blackbeard wouldn't be able to, he's not strong enough, the consensus would be like, well, Blackbeard's fighting dirty, like he's fighting his way, he's not fighting fist for fist.
Yeah, like his crew's here. That's why I think Blackbeard would win. Like his whole crew's
Blackbeard
here,
would be the
and that's it.
Type of dude to be. He'd also be the type of dude to be like, ha, dirt's in your eye, ha, poke, or like
he keeps on going after Kobe and Hibari, like what Shiryu did, right?
Yeah, stuff like that. And like, so then another question is, because I think a lot of people are still iffy on this, and who's to say? But Blackbeard versus Kuzan, is Blackbeard stronger than Kuzan?
Yeah,
like handedly, or it'd be like a high diff.
I think it'd be like high extreme diff. Yeah.
But
I mean, like Garp and Kuzan, it's hard because like Kuzan is already coming into this fight with the negative because he has a devil fruit. Like Blackbeard having that the Yami Yami no Mi, that's such a huge bonus because you're able to like bring them in, suck them out, like negate their powers for a bit. Like Blackbeard fighting a devil fruit user, dude, the fight's like already skewed in his odds.
True, that's true.
And then who's to say he doesn't have like an awakening yet or anything else? Like we don't know what a Gura no Mi awakening looks like, a darkness awakening looks like. Like if
I'm on the boat.
Blackbeard has that Logia awakening that we haven't seen yet. Yeah, dude, this guy's crazy.
So and just to clarify, let's say with one, like it's not Blackbeard's crew and like Sword isn't there. Garp versus Blackbeard goes towards Garp.
Garp versus Blackbeard 1v1 on an island, like nobody around.
Nobody around. No, there's no like Kobe and Hibari to abuse.
Yeah, I mean at that point you're kind of like just betting on Blackbeard's like hidden talents, right? Whatever monster he has inside. So it's hard to say. I feel like I'd have to give it to Blackbeard just because we don't know like how he fights truly. Like when he's pushed into a corner, that last like 5% of the battle you never see, like against Ace, against Law, against Shanks. Like there's always that little bit of Blackbeard that we just never see on screen or in the manga that you kind of have to bet on. And that's what a lot of people when they talk about Blackbeard, they're like, yeah, like we don't know like what this guy does.
Like the reason why the straw, like when Luffy died on Onigashima, the Straw's like, nah. And they're betting on that 1% that they've seen throughout the entire story. And the thing is, like we said, Blackbeard's crew kind of reflects that. They have a bet on Blackbeard kind of mentality, and they've seen the 1% that we're missing. They're the omniscient leader when it comes to Blackbeard. We're not. And so, with your take, I think for me, where it stands is like if Blackbeard showed up on Hachinosu with the story in hand, Garp loses still, same way, worse, obviously. But if it's a 1v1, I think Garp is stronger than Blackbeard.
I think
that's where I'm at.
I think the hard part with Garp is that he's old too. Like if you put prime Garp, oh dude, I think Garp's winning. Like another thing I have to factor in is Garp's age. Like he's not as strong as he is as he was in the past.
According to him, yeah.
Yeah, according to him. So that's why I do want to give it to Blackbeard. He's more of a new generation guy.
Not to like strays at Holy Knights, but like again, bro, like like it was, I don't know, the Holy Knights are there, and like
where are they now?
Like we see current Garp, and this is half as strong, much weaker, throwing ships, blowing up islands with a fist, and my man was on God Valley, and like so were the Holy Knights, and like I can't fathom like a prime Holy Knight level character entering like a Blackbeard situation. Like what happens if three Holy Knights show up on Hachinosu? Kuzan, Blackbeard, Shu, can they handle that? I don't fucking know. Like if it's also Garling sauce on the Shanks's twin brother too. What are we saying? Like that, I can't, like every time we talk about like that's why I talk about the Garp thing, right? Like obviously the
Yeah.
story is what it is, but it's like we have to put in perspective like the characters adjacent, and the Holy Knights are so adjacent at this point that like they don't make sense
Yeah.
still. Like
Oh, and speaking of adjacency, like, Shanks is another reason why I hype up Blackbeard, because Shanks to
Yeah.
this very day is still keeping tabs on the guy. Shanks
Yeah.
went to Wano to try to beat Blackbeard. It's like, like, if Shanks is worried about this guy, I feel like people should be rightfully worried, right? People who are like, who don't like Blackbeard and think he's not strong, it's because of what we've seen. And I can't argue against that because it's true. If you don't
Yeah.
think Blackbeard's that guy, that's fine. But also, like, you gotta admit, like, a lot of characters are worried about this man. Like, they see this potential. Like, it's there. It's tangible.
I think like with the Shanks thing, the more we're getting to the story, the more I'm locked in that like there's a external reason outside of power that he can't kill Blackbeard. Whether Vegapunk's message is related or it's the fact that he's now like a celestial dragon, it might be that like Shanks can't kill D clan members or something like that. Like because if he does, then he'll be like the celestial dragons. He'll be like the people that he doesn't want to be like. And there might be like some kind of external reason as to why, the scarring, that stuff aside, right? Like that whole nuance we don't know, we don't get whether Blackbeard was stronger there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the reason why he goes to Whitebeard instead of stopping Ace and thing directly. The reason why he hasn't been direct at like why not just go to Pirate Island? Why not line up with Marco back then? You know how awkward it is to tell Marco like, hey, you should join our crew. When Marco during the Grudge War, they were asking all the allies, hey, help us stop Blackbeard from taking over Whitebeard's territory. If Shanks ever put his weight into it, Blackbeard wouldn't be a Yonko, I don't think. If it was Shanks plus all of the Whitebeard pirates against Blackbeard, yeah, Blackbeard's not winning that, right? So like for me, it's like at this point in the story, like going to Wano is like, hey, Greenbill, stop that. Let the new era breathe, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
Blackbeard, don't go to Wano. Let the new era breathe. I think there's a like he's like kind of like Blackbeard wants to be in the new era and he can't oppose it because he's a D clan and Shanks isn't. And so it might be something like the D clan can only do. It might be that there's some kind of thing that he knows from the Celestial Dragon side or from Roger's side that he just knows that like in a similar light where he's like when he was a kid, he's like, oh, I'm not gonna be the Pirate King, right? Like there was a choice, there's a decision, there's some kind of destiny that he knew about, and I think that's why he's like he wants to oppose Blackbeard, but he can't do it himself because if he does it himself, then he's just the same as the world government because the world government has been killing the D clan all this time. And in Vegapunk's message, he was literally like of the one thing that he was saying is like I have so much pity for the D clan for all of that they went through. I think that like something would line up with Shanks there, and that's been my belief beforehand that there's something external as to why Shanks could never act directly. And maybe that changes now that the race or the One Piece is like, further instigated. But like, if for example, now we know that Shanks allegedly in the timeline, right? Like I had a different take, but like I'm leaning more towards it that the place that Shanks said that he wanted to go to from Elbaf and he's like already gonna go to was Barto and Gardo Island. Then we can say that he had no intentions of chasing after Blackbeard. Then he just wanted updates from Hongo. His plan was to deal with Barto, and then Kid just happened to fall in line with that. And because originally it was like, oh, maybe he was going to Hachinosu, maybe he was going to counter Blackbeard, but no, he was probably just going to Barto. So
Yeah.
that in line like just tells you another inkling of like he wants to counter Blackbeard, but he's not as direct. And the other thing is like it's not like with Shanks. Like I don't know how many people know that Shanks' headquarters on Elbaf. Like everyone knows Kaido's on Wano. Everyone knows that Big Mom's in Whole Cake Island. Everyone knows that Blackbeard's on Hachinosu. So like if he really wanted to just stop him, he could just wage a war there. Does Shanks think that he couldn't stop him? I don't know. Is Kuzan's addition the thing that scared him? I don't think so. I think that
Maybe it's Rocky Port that's scaring him.
Yeah, it could be. Hey, it could be that. Like I think that Rocky Port is probably something that like the people in the know can't just destroy. Like the same thing with the Navy, right? Like the Navy, they're just letting a lawless land like Rocky Port exist all these years since Rock's Pirates days, since Rocks. Like why would they do
Yeah.
that?
And Rocky Port's kind of interesting because, skipping over the Lafitte thing for a second, like when Caribou shows up here, I think it's so crazy that they're about to pull into the port, Rocky Port, and then Pizarro's like, oh, the dock, it's such a hassle, like it's kind of busy, I'm injured, let's just bring you up instead. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but also I think this is Oda's way of not showing us Rocky Port again. It's like, what the,
Yeah.
like, I'm afraid that we'll get to Rocky Port and it's going to be completely normal, but there's also another chance where it's like, okay, like what if something crazy is at Rocky Port? Because Blackbeard took the time to rebuild it. Like that's the thing. Like Blackbeard rebuilt Rocky Port.
Yeah, I wait. Also, I think we were reading it differently. I thought that Pizarro was saying doing the act of picking, because Devon said pick us up, and I think that when he's picking them up, that's the docking that he's saying is so troublesome. He's saying docking guys is always such a pain. I'm injured. So that like because if Devon, like I think Devon could have went to Rocky Port, and I agree with you. That Rocky Port is something that Oda's hiding.
No, you're completely
right.
But I think
the thing that Pizarro is just because it's moving. But I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, it's super cool.
Yeah, I was like, I think I would literally join the Blackbeard Pirates just to be
picked up like that. I misread this whole thing, but either way, like this is just another instance of Oda hiding this port. Do you think something's like important is there? Like it's going to be like some crazy architecture, or do you think no, it's just going to be a regular port? Because at this point, I don't know. Like skipping over it once, that's one thing. Skipping over it twice, that's another thing, right? Because Garp showed up, we didn't see it. Kobe Law, that flashback, we didn't see it.
Like 3 times.
This is like 3 times, 3 or 4 times where we could have seen Rocky Port, but we didn't.
Yeah, not even in flashback.
Right?
Like it's like and like Thriller Bark, was it not parked at Rocky Port? Like
it was, but we never saw Moria like get off the boat and see Rocky Port. We skipped to Moria being on the island. It's like, yo, what the hell is there? What the hell is Rocky Port?
Like, it was destroyed, so they need to rebuild it, and then Blackbeard would be mad about fire. So it's like, oh, how is the island not impervious to fire? Like whatever. But the point, like I agree with you in the sense of like I don't know how we can hype a geographical like location like this.
As mundane as a port.
Yeah, like a ship's just supposed to dock, brother. Like, and it's apparently Devon doesn't even want to go there. Like Devon's
like, I don't want to go to the port. Pick us up.
Pick us up. Yeah, and like honestly, like if I was like Don Krieg, if I was a pirate on Hachinosu, I was like, I'd be like, damn, how do I get to that level that I get picked up by the
Need to be like a Titanic captain for that.
Yeah, that it'd be like literally of all the Yonkos, this is the coolest.
Oh, 100%.
Like Big Mom could be cooler if she used her candy stuff a little bit more. Like crossing the cotton candy ocean, but they don't do anything cool like this. They don't welcome you like that. Like this is
I don't know. Then again, Big Mom does have like the talking objects, and I think that's kind of awesome. It reminds me of like old school Disney.
It's true, but you have to like get there first, right?
Yeah.
And then they give up your lifespan.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I would probably live on Big Mom's, in Big Mom's territory. Even if I do give up like 10 years, like it's kind of worth it.
Yeah, living there, but being, but what I meant is like I would want to be a pirate with like these guys.
If you're a pirate, okay.
Yeah, well, like I'm joking a little bit, obviously, because like Luffy exists and whatever, Whitebeard existed, but like this is sick.
No, I agree.
Was like,
if I was a pirate, I'd join the Blackbeard Pirates. If I was a civilian, Big Mom. If I was a Marine, I'd want to work under a Kainu. Like I already got those answers lined up. If I was a revolutionary, I'd probably just stay home. So Blackbeard has pudding with her.
Revolutionary is which island, which sea you want to be in. I definitely wouldn't want to be in the East Blue, bro.
No, I wouldn't want to be a revolutionary in general. So that's why I was like, I'll just probably stay home.
No, but if you're a rev, like the sea you'd want to avoid is the one that Dragon goes to, because that shit gets neglected like no other.
Oh yeah.
Like so, I hear Dragon's going to the east. I'm going west. I'm straight up over there, brother. Like
pudding is here too. So pudding is here. Do you think anything of it?
Yes. What do you think? I think.
What like Sanji, Big Mom, Katakuri, 3-Eyed, memories from Garp.
It's the timeline.
Oh,
The dialogue is a little weird. I want to know because like if this is current time, the way he says like we also snagged this three-eyed girl as if like they're announcing her to the crew to like as if this is like the first time she's there. And like
yeah.
timeline wise, that's a little interesting because we don't necessarily know when Blackbeard got Pudding. But like if you were to follow the logic, then like Blackbeard was on Amazon Lily. He didn't have Pudding then. He goes to Law, Winter's Island. But before that, he has Kobe in tow, brings Kobe there, and then leaves. We see Kuzan there, but I don't and we see Van Augur, but Pudding's like not mentioned there. And instead, Pudding is on the ship with Blackbeard after he leaves.
Yeah.
So then it's like, why did he bring Pudding with him to Law? That implies he was going to use Pudding on the person,
I don't
which
think
that
so.
is important.
I think Van Augur simply just teleported to Blackbeard while he was on his way to Law and just dropped off Pudding.
But then what about Kuzan?
Kuzan just went back home.
So, but the thing is, but the problem, the stipulation is that Kuzan can't. I mean, Van Augur doesn't have teleportation like that. He can't just do cross island like the boats.
Well,
like
I mean,
he was on Blackbeard's boat.
Yeah. Like, what if he was traveling with Kuzan?
Kuzan,
Yeah.
and then Kuzan. Oh yeah, Kuzan can travel on his own. But then they were both on, what's it called, with Kobe. On the thing. So then they left. So then it would be that they left there, then got Pudding, then met with.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you could
Blackbeard
make this work, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's my thing. The
Yeah.
timeline's interesting because like you could erase all that and just say he's just announcing them to her here, and then that would be very pivotal for that thing because then it would be like, okay, so then he wasn't intending to bring Pudding to see whoever because like if he already announced Pudding and he was going to Winter's Island, he didn't know who was going to be on Winter's Island.
Yeah.
It was either Law, Kid, or Luffy. And so then it would be really interesting if he was intending to use Pudding on one of them to get whatever information. And the thing is, we don't see that part of it because Beppo had Law escape. Had Law still been there, maybe actually Law's crew is actually with Blackbeard.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I feel like with Pudding, it's not even like a one-time thing, right? Like, Pudding could be used for anybody. Like, whether it's Law, Luffy, Garp, like,
Yeah.
dude, no matter who shows up with or in front of Blackbeard, when Blackbeard captures them, he could just use Pudding on all of them.
But the important part is using Pudding, right? We could say like the thing is, it's like the person has to be willing, right? Unless he steals their fruit. Which, if he's using Pudding, is when like we have like that's the thing, right? With Moria, he wanted his power, he wanted all that stuff. Moria's still alive. Moria escaped, right? With Pudding, it's like, how does he make her use her power? When does that happen? And like that's why I was like, is it already a point where she's using her power for him? Is it like, is she that worried about it? She seems kind of defiant already, right? Because she's like, no, Big Mom's still alive. Yeah, she'll be fine. We'll be fine. Blah blah. So like, when does Pudding start using the power, and did he already use the power? The timeline for me is kind of important because then the other part of it is if this is the first time, then that would imply that he didn't use it on Kobe, and that would make it so that Blackbeard, knowing about the Seraphims, he just asked about Kobe, didn't use the memories, which is just like a small detail, but also lines up with how Pudding gets used.
Yeah.
Because you could use Pudding's power, but Pudding doesn't have to use the power.
Yeah,
and the thing is like,
she doesn't have to use it, but I feel like you could just like
the other part,
force her as well.
The other part is Blackbeard shouldn't know about her power.
You don't think he does?
That's the thing about Pudding's thing is that the three-eyed thing was a secret, right? But the memory thing was an even bigger secret because anytime she used it, she would wipe that she would use it. Sanji oversaw that it was being used, and he had to convince Reiju that it was being used. But nobody knows. All the chefs on the island that talked about it, all their memories were wiped. Sanji's memories were wiped afterwards. Everybody that knows about Pudding's power, their memories are wiped. So I have a whole video on that part that like Blackbeard knowing about Pudding having the memory power should be a secret, and he might not know, which is why he's saying we have the three-eyed girl. And that's the other part is that nobody really should know that she has a three-eyed either, because that was revealed at the wedding, and all the people there were mostly people, unless it was Morgans or like Stussy or these other characters. And that's again why I'm saying it's really important, because both of those secrets are something that like Kaido and Big Mom, they were like, oh wait, don't you have that? But that's those two. They should know that. Other than them, Blackbeard knowing about the three-eyed thing as fast as he did, because when you look at the timeline, it's right after Whole Cake Island that he goes immediately while the Vinsmokes are going back to get the brothers. He's already getting pudding. So that's why the timeline, the information, what I was just talking about earlier, how did Blackbeard find out about the three-eyed thing so quickly? It was a secret her entire life, and even at the wedding, it was still only Sanji saw at the thing because she was up there. And I looked at those panels, and no one acknowledges the three-eye. The only people that should know are family members like Katakuri, and then Sanji, but his memory was wiped. The priest, I guess, but he died. And then Big Mom herself, and then the powers. That should not be known. Nobody knows about that. Everybody's got the memory wiped. That's the entire thing about her power. So in order for it to leak, it would have to be a Big Mom pirate. And like that's where I was like, wait. So then when could it have been? Could it have been off Wano? I was thinking about the idea that Blackbeard did go to Wano, and he did run into the Big Mom pirates that were off there. But that's all, like, it's so weird, and I've been waiting for updates on Pudding for that reason, because yeah, he shouldn't know about the memory power, and he shouldn't know about the three-eye thing, and that's really important for Blackbeard.
I feel like he'd be able to easily find out if she has a memory for it too. Like, I wonder if he has like a test, like a metal detector, where as they're walking onto the island, he has his like power out, he's like trying to suck in devil fruits.
Bonney, he never,
and it's like,
why
boom.
wouldn't he? Because like in the Bonney situation, that's his day-old question, bro. Like he was fighting Bonney kicked him. He should know that Bonnie's a kid, no? But he might have not known that Bonney had a power that he could use his devil fruit on.
Yeah, you never know. But
yeah,
Blackbeard's
so that's
interesting,
why
man.
the tester thing is, that's why the three-eyed, him saying the three-eyed girly here, to me substantiates that he might not even know that she has the memory power, and it's just a coinky dink that she's the three-eyed with the memory power, which is just cracked for her power in the first place. But
yeah, I think Blackbeard's going to be able to use that power once he figures it out. If he doesn't know yet.
The question is when.
Yeah,
the question is when.
Yeah,
because there's like the Bonney situation still stands. It's like he should have known a lot about Bonney, and the reality is, if he knew that Bonnie's a baby, he wouldn't be like, you could be one of my wives. Like, yeah, it's a little crazy that he said that. Yeah.
So with this next part, we have Lafitte. We see what he's been doing this entire time. He's been missing. He's been keeping up with the Marine revolutionary situation. And we see the whole bondola thing, which I think is just still so funny. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I just wonder how they're destroying the bondola so consistently. Like, Navy HQ is literally right there. And it's like, dude, you'd think that, you know, Akainu would be nearby, some other admirals or some higher ranking vice admirals. It's like, dude, what are they doing? Like, who? Like, also, which Rev is doing this? All the commanders are on Kamabaka.
Yeah, and they said they sabotaged them, and they just like, so that means that they did something and then they left. Which
like they put a bomb there. It's like, bruh.
Yeah, how many times does this have to happen for you to? And it looks like it's blowing up. Like, yeah, like,
they just planted like a pipe bomb or something. It's so silly, dude. Yeah. Like. And you would think that after 900 years, like I just want to hammer this down. Like I'm sure it'll be explained, or it doesn't have to be, right? Like, because you know, for readers, after a while, you have like a certain expectation. If it's not met, that's fine, because it's like typical anime stuff, right? You know, most animes don't explain it, but the world government has been in place for 900 years. They only have one bondola. One up and down. That's all they have. They don't have like an elevator in the red line. They don't have like, you know, a pathway down. Brother, what are they doing?
Yeah, apparently, so
according
to Popog on Saba Odi, the way this functions is when you sail there, if you want to do it like as a kingdom, you go there and you have to buy another ship on the other side. Yeah. And so that also, the Navy also does that by just having headquarters on the other side. So like this is detrimental to themselves. This isn't even just like it's because they're all insects. Yeah, but sure, but they also need food. You're telling me these single bondolas were bringing up all of the food from America? Like, come on. The agriculture godhead, get him out of here. What is he cooking? Like the chefs. Like someone in this hierarchy,
they should have at least like made steps or stairs all the way down. And yeah, that's like a hell of a walk, But brother, make the slaves do it, you know? Like, I just don't know why the bondola was like so integral in this. Like, at least have a second bondola. I don't know, just one.
And like people are like, besides the security is to have the stairs, bro. Like, come on, like Fisher
Holy
Tiger
Knights,
climbed
I
up
don't
there.
know, dude.
We already have security risks, and there's no stairs.
Yeah, he climbed up the red line too. Like, brother.
Yeah, like
what's
we
going
had
on?
And the thing is, I think a wall is sometimes a lot less daunting than a billion stair steps. Like,
oh, here's a good one.
I climb a wall faster than I see the Empire State Building. That's correct.
Here's a really
the Empire
good
State
one.
Building is a lot harder.
Navy HQ is right there, right? It's a brand new building. They could have built a bridge at the top of Navy HQ all the way to the top of the red line. Like, I don't know how big it is. It's kind of crazy,
don't want
but
the insects to touch them like that, though, Sai.
Yeah, but it's like direct security. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's so many ways around this, and it's definitely their fault. But as far as the bondol is breaking, like, I just don't know where the Holy Knights are. Like, are you telling me the Holy Knights aren't doing anything about this? Because it sounds like they got food. Food is at Red Port. They want to bring it up, but they just can't. The Holy Knights, where are you?
And for me, the thing, like, for Garland got the promotion, like, seemingly out of necessity.
Yeah.
I would have liked it if he got it out of a promotional reason, like defending the Holy Land against sabotage bondolas. How would you figure out how the bondolas are breaking down? Science? Oh my god, do we have a position called the Godhead of Science and Defense? Wow, I would really like it if we use science and to defend our land against the singular bondolas that keep on. Oh, how about we just develop other bondolas that can't be sabotaged? Like, why can we
it'd be really funny if York gets brought here and they can't bring York up to the Holy Land because the bondola is broken.
No, I would love it if York came over here and that was their first task and she goes,
oh, maybe.
Get me out of here, brother. Get me out of here, brother.
Maybe York builds an elevator.
Yeah, like, no, like, yeah, 100%. She builds something way better, but like the first reaction, it's like getting a rocket scientist to build like a paper airplane.
I mean, yeah,
are you joking me? And you're starving because of this problem?
I've been saying it. York is not gonna like being a Celestial right now. Maybe on a different day, yes, but right now, Bondol is broken. They're in the middle of a war, and Celestial Dragons have no food. York is gonna hate it there.
No, but the thing is, like, York has like the solution in her like back pocket, like cloud stuff. Like, she knows about that stuff.
Oh, if York builds a food machine, that'd be big.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with the food machine, they need the resources to put in the machine to make the food.
Yeah, I'm sure they could give it to York though.
Yeah,
resources, workers, even York can get it.
Let's fix the first problem. She just needs to give them bubbles or like different vehicles to. The thing is, like I was telling this, the bondol is just a wooden piece that's like reinforced. It has no movement function. It gets pulled up, not even by the ropes. The ropes are guidelines. The thing that pulls it up are the bubbles. The bubbles flow up and it just lifts it up on the guidelines, and like there are all those paddles, but what are they paddling? Air? Not doing. This isn't doing anything for it. Like, I don't know about anybody, but like paddle boats don't work in the sky. I don't know. I don't know how to tell you.
It's super
the bubbles
silly.
are doing it.
There's a reason why Lafitte in that panel looks like he's about to bust out laughing during the bondola thing. Lafitte's holding back laughter right there. There's a reason why he's grinning.
He's seems like he's like his first report was like like he probably knew exactly what the Revs did too. He's probably like, it seems like the Revs sabotaged the bondolas. I don't think it's gonna work. Then the updates seems like their siege is proving effective. What siege, brother? Their bondolas are blowing up. That's not a siege.
I like to imagine that the bombs that the Revs planted on the bondola is like a video game bomb, where it's like bright red barrels blinking. It makes noise like beep beep.
The red wire.
And then the people are like, let's put this on the bondola, guys. Oh man, that's so silly.
Yeah, what did he say actually? He says, I just want to read this. He goes, seems like their siege is proving effective, and the Red Port's bondolas keep breaking down. Whenever they try to load them with food, all supply shipments from foreign nations have been halted too. Even when the Navy manages... What?
Wait, I just thought about this. Sorry to cut you off. What if the food they're putting on the bondolas are Doc Q's apples?
While I was reading it, I was like, what if the food is sabotaged?
Yeah, like what if it's Doc Q's apples? Because all of his apples explode.
Do you think? But then it would be Lafitte. Okay, but also
it would make sense with Blackbeard's plan.
Even when the Navy managed to secure the food, they can't stop the. So are you? But that would be implying that Lafitte is buffing the Revs right now.
Yes,
Lafitte is putting the apples on the, and he's cheekily saying like, "Ha!"
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, and the reason why this could make sense is you'd bolster how much the Celestial Dragons hate the Revs, and then when the Blackbeard Pirates come in, it's like, whoa, our saviors, which they shouldn't be the saviors because they have the Holy Knights. You know, like, because when it comes to Blackbeard's plans, I want to see where you're at with this, but it seems like Blackbeard might run the fight again with Dragon and the Revs, you know, say, hey, like, you know, I'm gonna take them down, you know, bring them down a peg, bring food up there so that the Holy Land can like us again. That is what it's seeming like to me. And if that's the case, like, yeah, sure, you know, that's good and dandy, but I just don't know why they would need Blackbeard in this situation when they have the Holy Knights. Because even Dragon said it, like, when the food supplies go down, the Holy Knights are going to act. So where's there room for Blackbeard to step in?
Yeah, because, like, no, I think this is the Apple thing is probably it, because it's even, when I was reading it, I stopped because I was like, wait, this is a separate conversation now.
Yeah.
Because there's the bondolas breaking down, and then there's the siege. And what he's saying is that when the siege, which is what the Revs are supposed to be doing, when the siege doesn't stop everything, they still can't get the food because the bondolas are sabotaged. But he's not necessarily saying that they sabotage the bondolas. He's just saying, oh, how convenient. And the thing is, he has to act, he actually codify the wording because it's on an open line, right?
Yeah.
So like if he's overheard, he's not taking, he's just reporting on it. And so he could be like, oh, I know that you have this thing. So if it's overheard, he has to say it like this. And so now this is the other part that makes it cheeky, is this part where he goes, the Celestial Dragons may really starve at this rate. It's all quite unprecedented, really, not to mention engaging, which is, that's the cheekiest part, because not only is he saying that, like, it's unexpected almost, like by saying it's unprecedented, kind of like the Gorosei coming down from the, Devon's like, wow, this is kind of unprecedented. We didn't think you'd be doing this. Kind of like that. It's like, I didn't think the apples would be enough to do that. And it's like engaging, like he's getting a chuckle out of it because it's kind of funny. Would he get a chuckle out of just the siege? Or would he be like, is it engaging because he's watching like something he's dropping in exploding and it's like actually working? He's like, wait, they might actually starve at this rate. I didn't think this plan would be that dumb that it worked. And it's that dumb that it worked. And I'm like, and then he goes, haha, understood. So it's almost like this is like, it like as far as like unprecedented, right? He says this ain't the time to sit back and watch, get ready. And then he says understood, right? So it's like, are they manipulating it, right? Because when we think about like Marineford, all of it was manipulated, right? All of it, from Blackbeard becoming a warlord to him getting to Impel Down to them freeing the things, all of that was all planned essentially. And they were just like, well, we'll leave it up to fate. If it works out, it works out. The Strawhats got knocked up by a knockup stream, so he's not the bounty I'm going to go after. But Ace came to me. Looks like it's fate. And now let's get the ball rolling, right? So the ball is rolling. Luffy set the ball rolling now. And now they're just watching it. And the question is, were they doing the bondolas thing? And I kind of like that version of the events.
Oh, yeah.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
And then Blackbeard shows up and it's like, hey, here's some apples that aren't bombed up. And then Lafitte, Lafitte being here makes the most sense because he can easily fly up to Marie Joie as well.
Yeah.
Like Lafitte has wings.
If this is the case, and it doesn't have to be, guys, but I like this idea. And if Oda was doing this, the only thing that would make it more cracked if Lafitte was eating an apple while doing this.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cracked.
That'd be so good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can probably make a fake panel and insert an apple into it and be like, hey guys, he's eating an apple, and everyone's doing it. Just run with it. Yeah, he's doing it.
Yeah, dude, put like the fuse as the stem. Done.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
So, on to the last part of the chapter now, because we kind of talked about the
Yes.
caribou thing, to death already. We go to Elbaf. Or not Elbaf. Well, we see, the giant ship Eirik. The Strawhats are missing. It looks like the Alabasta 6, as people are calling them, are the ones that are missing exclusively, alongside the Thousand Sunny.
Mhm.
And we see in that final page that Nami wakes up. Somebody says, hey, Nami, wake up. We don't know who it is. It could be Luffy, Zoro, or one of the boys, but we don't see them. So I'm inclined to believe
But
it might be somebody else.
They know her name.
They know her name. And Nami wakes up in brand new attire in what seems to be a Lego room. What is your first take? Where is she?
Legoland. One of the lands of Warland. I mean, so like, when we saw the panel, right? The first question is like, we're in the context as giants. Is she in a giant room? Is she a small room? I could see it both ways. I know you don't. You mainly see it like a doll house type of situation.
Yeah.
So she's like a plaything. Now, which is interesting because you say that, but then you also have the hangover thing where she's not abducted. It's just like they made it somewhere. And so she's not abducted as a plaything, but they are in a hangover and she ended up in some kind of like dollhouse type of situation. All really interesting. I think what struck my mind was like, well, we're not on Elbaf. Why is she wearing like Elbaf type of like a Viking outfits? And like immediately I scrolled back up and I was like, wait, Robin's not wearing any, because it would make sense if Robin and Lilith, they like changed like for the party, they got into the gear and whatever, but Robin's not wearing any. And so the thing is, it's been 2 days, and so the narrator also says they should have that they would be able to arrive at Elbaf, and we know this because the news went out and a day later the Vikings or the Giants are already at Egghead. So in reverse, it should be true, unless like we use some crazy Coriolis effect to explain that flights one way, flights the other way don't work the same way. But they should be there, and they had 2 days later. So and they don't know that. So it could be that they made it to Elbaf, got super drunk, they drank the hallucinogen, and it's like the Hangover, like the movie. And they're just all woken up. They all have different missions, and they just forgot what they were doing, and they forgot what their plans were, and they just fell asleep and whatever, right? As far as like where Nami is, like whether it's on Elbaf or not on Elbaf, like that's like it. Like I think because my first instinct was like, oh my god, are we not going to Elbaf? Is this a detour? When I saw the giant ship not going to, I was like, oh no, we're not skipping Elbaf, we're like detouring off Elbaf. And then like but then you take in like the absinthe and all this stuff. Like absinthe is kind of like on the nose because it could be a pun for like being absent, haha, but like absent-minded, haha.
Yeah.
But like the point is that like when I looked at this and then people start pointing out the Legos and I saw the Legos and it's like undeniable. You look at the ground, that's Legos. You compare it to the 622, the cover story. Oda has already drawn the Straw Hats in a Lego room, albeit in a different context because the Straw Hats were bigger than the Lego blocks, whereas here, at least based off the floor, Nami is tiny compared to the Lego block, like the floor nub. Like in 622, when Sanji's stepping on the Lego block, it's not like stepping on Legos. Like if we stepped on Legos, like right? When the Straw Hats are doing in 622, they were the Legos were their size. In this one, it looks like the Legos are like, at least the ground, the nub is like way bigger than Nami. So, or not bigger than Nami, like as big as their foot. So like it's different than the cover story. And then it's like, okay, I vaguely remembered, and this is off like a short, that Lego is like a European brand, like a Nordic region. And so the person who invented it is Ole Christensen. And when I said that, the whole stream was like, oh, that's the most Viking ass name I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's
and
from Denmark.
Denmark, Dane, back in like the early 1900s, but like it's based Legos from Leggut, I think, is something like that. But like in English, it spells leg god or whatever. And so I was like, oh, this is crazy. But like the fact that we're on Elbaf. Elbaf is supposedly, we don't know if it's an archipelago type of situation, but they called it Warland, an island there. And we don't know what the main island is or the subsidiary islands. We know from Saul that there may be different kinds of giants. We know from the Yeti Cool Brothers that there 100% is different kinds of giants. In fact, in the Weaver cards, they're not listed as just giants. They're listed as mystery giants. And so there are different islands, I would say kind of confidently, and it could be that they just made it to a different island there, and it might be like the Danish one, and it might be that they're with like the guy that Oda wants to represent as the old Christensen
It's like
not kidnapped them, but
it could be like Chocolate Town in Whole Cake Island, the first place we go to.
yeah.
And then every other
Yeah,
town
yeah.
is like different, like Biscuit Town, Cracker Town, all that stuff.
Yeah, the only weird part is like that one is more like the thematic is there, but the logic is also like one thing. Lego Land One Piece is like just one step removed almost. Like I never played Final Fantasy, but it kind of is. I feel like that's kind of like a Final Fantasy thing where you like go to another like realm or dimension type of thing, or like a different world of characters. Legoland kind of feels like the way we're seeing it right now. If the island is like Legoland, I want to know how this exists because Wapo's got to run for his money. You know what I mean?
I mean, it could be a devil fruit too. It could be like the Lego no Mi, and it's like
but
specific
that's
to
the
one
weird
person.
right? Because like Chocolate Town makes sense, a chocolate thing, but like how would like I guess you could dream of Legos. Like I guess you can. I
Yeah.
mean, someone did it in our world, so it's not that crazy. But it's just so it's like so meta that it feels weird. You know what I mean? It's like too breaking the fourth wall almost.
Yeah, it's a little bit silly. I'm sure when we get the One
Yeah.
Piece version like explanation, they're gonna call this something completely different, like Degos or something.
Blockland.
Yeah, block.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
block. And the guy will be like, I've devised the best way to build things, and because he developed that, he landed on what looks like to be Legos, and maybe Lego has like some crazy. Oh wait, apparently, I asked my chat this. One Piece doesn't have any official things with Legos.
Nope. This could be their way of announcing it.
Or this could be Oda's slap in the face, like because they couldn't work out like copyright or something. So like, and so because they worked out the legality of it, he's like, "Huh, this isn't illegal. I could just put in Legos and think
Oh,
what are you
yeah.
gonna do about it. Mid? You want to work with me now?" Like, and that could be a crazy backstory where like Oda wanted to do a collab with Lego because he wanted to do this thing, and when he opened up the doors, they're like, "No, fuck you, small Japanese man, some racist ass shit." And so Oda's like, "Bet. I'm gonna steal your shit anyways," and he does it. That would be dope. I would like that actually.
Oh yeah. I talked
Yeah.
about it being like Oda's way of forcing their hand.
Yeah, exactly. It could be that, or it could be like it could be revenge, one way or the other. Like,
Or it could just be like an announcement of their collaboration too.
yeah,
Like
and
it doesn't
would-
have to be like that extreme. It could just be like, by the way, we're working together now.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I just have a lot of copyright context of people fighting copyright in Japan recently, and on the legal on the corporate level, like Nintendo, Shueisha, like them fighting each other the way like Nintendo being the big dogs. Like it's just crazy how like Korea and their like webtoon stuff and how that works with like licensing and Bandai Namco. Apparently, fun fact, this is a good thing for you guys to know if you guys care about doing like anime stuff. Move to Texas. Apparently all like the licensing stuff is in Texas, so most of the people who do like the anime streetwear, all the stuff, when they get the official licensing, it's in their best interest to go to Texas. Like I think Austin, Texas is where all the headquarters are for the licensing and franchising. So yeah. But yeah, that's why I'm like, there might be some copyright stuff because I heard some horror stories.
As far as the person talking to Nami, telling her to wake up, who do you think that is? Do you think it's a mystery person? Do you think it was the person waiting off the coast of Elbaf? Or do you think this is one of the Strawhats?
On the guy on the coast of Elbaf, did we know that was like the Elbaf, like the island? It was him from the back out to the ocean, so we didn't see behind him, right? And in that line, like if Oda said like, "Oh, we're in Totland," that could be Chocolate Town. If you're on Whole Cake Island, then you are on the main island in Totland, right? So in the same line, if you're in Elbaf, you could be in a different, like if we don't know Warland versus the main island, but it could have that. And the thing is like Iceland and the Nordic region had a bunch of that. So
yeah, it could be like a Wano thing where like there's multiple islands and we don't know where he's at. But
yeah,
do you think so who do you think is talking to Nami then?
I feel like it's not the Straw Hats.
Hmm.
Like Nami, wake up, Nami, wake up. Like Nami wouldn't be in this situation if the Straw Hats were there. You know what I mean? Like Nami wouldn't be like alone, and Nami wouldn't be like looking up, like almost as if she's alone. You know what I mean? It honestly looks like Nami's looking up at somebody, and she's like kind of like spooked. Like the perspective being like we're at the foot of somebody like massive or something. She's like looking up at someone big. Um, that's like that could be the perspective. But yeah, I'm thinking it's someone that Nami doesn't know or doesn't remember, but it doesn't necessarily mean that she shouldn't know. It's probably someone she got acquainted with while they were drunk on the absinthe. I'm thinking it's something like that. Like someone that like knows them, became friends with the Straw Hats, and now Nami's like, wait, who are you? Wait, where are the Straw Hats? Wait, where's everybody? And it's like, no, you guys agreed to this. You agreed to be in my castle, blah blah blah. And Nami's like, no. And then it's like the whole like a hangover story, and he's just like
Yeah.
a good guy, misunderstood, misplaced, and then because he's a giant, he's short tempered, and like things are happening. If the other Strats come in and start fighting, and then like, yo, what are you doing with Nami? And he's like, wait, I'm not a bad guy. We married or something. Like, what if that's the case? Like they got married or something.
Yeah, could be. I mean, Loki wanted to marry Lola, so Loki wanting to marry Nami. What's up?
Yeah, didn't that happen in The Hangover? Like one of the dudes got married, right?
Yeah, the guy that was missing
Yeah.
a tooth, he got married. The dentist.
Yeah. And they had to like solve that stuff. And it was in
Yeah.
Vegas. So like maybe Oda does something crazy with that here.
Yeah, and then with Nami too, like even if she was held hostage, I think that would work really well because that could put us in a competition with the Giants to get Nami back. Maybe that's where Usopp like, wins at a couple of games or something. Looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, and that's the other part about if this were Loki, it doesn't have to be, but that's actually the mythos with Loki, the Outlands Loki, is that Thor, Thor and the god Loki and Dalfi, I don't forget how to pronounce it. They did a 3-on-3 fight competition. They didn't outright fight, but against Loki, and it was an eating contest, a drinking contest, and a sprinting contest. And I think like Loki lost, Thor's friend lost, and I think Thor might have lost, but then they ended up wrestling over it, and then Thor won or something. So like, there you go. You got a very like not even just like One Piece style like how to solve something like that sounds like a Viking thing too. I feel like, but then and it's in Norse mythos, and then it's also like Davy back ish. So like we could get a lot. The worlds colliding here with that, like a game to win back Nami,
Yeah.
despite it not being like the case that they needed to do in the first place. They just forgot.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things that could happen here. Like no matter how you spit it, I feel like the Nami plotline is going to go pretty hard. Like whether she's captured, whether she's like with Loki or just some random, giant kid even. I feel like it could work out pretty well. It'd be fun. It'd be a fun development.
So and
Yeah.
oh, I was just gonna say like because like the thing is like when it comes to Elbaf, like Elbaf is so thematic that it's like One Piece. Like Oda's inspiration for One Piece was Vicky the Viking, and so much so that before the SBS even existed, he referenced it in 3 chapters about Vicky the Viking. Talked about some like baseline normal things. I watched an episode of it. Not a bad show for kids. But in line of like when people saw the anime get to Elbaf, like I think a lot of people were like, yo, it feels like Vinland Saga. And like Vinland Saga is a story about Vikings in that era and like all those things. And you see in the story and something that Oda reiterates, before the chapter starts, before the first chapter even begins, the chapter note was that essentially like Oda has now collected all the information he needs to write a story, and he's just like, I guess the pirates back in the day never wrote down their story, so this is going to be my version of essentially what he said, and that prefaced chapter 1. And that like when you think about Vikings are pirates and just different name whatever, but they function very similarly. And one of the things that they would prevent them from writing down the history is being drunk, forgetting the history. And so this thing feels like the entrance to Elbaf of that is them being drunk and forgetting thing, and it creating some kind of giant like crazy conflict would be insane for a lot of reasons. But when we're talking about like amnesia, memory loss, a lot of these things, like I fully expect this to happen in the Void Century where like Nika or Joy Boy got insanely drunk and they did something like crazy. Like I don't even know how crazy I'm thinking, but earlier in the podcast I was saying like, oh, I'll save it to them. The thing that came to mind is like imagine like they got so drunk and then like they had a certain behavior like King Riku, like burning shit down. Like Vikings were destructive like that. They just like burn shit down. Like look at Dory and Broggy. They're fighting for 100 years for what? Right? Like that's the thing. And Nami's literally like, I can't with these guys, right? Like that's how silly the giants are that they're doing this like crazy, violent natured thing. And like at the end of the day, the premise of One Piece is going to be this. Whatever Oda starts Elbaf with is going to be core to the One Piece story. And so now them going into a hangover, doing like whatever comes out of this, Joy Boy did it, Nika did it. It's all parallel, 100%. In a similar vein to what we talked about earlier about like what Shanks did with the poison, all that stuff, like poison, alcohol, hallucinogen. Like some people would say, like, hey, it's spiking your drink. Like Oda could bring in Bill Cosby onto Elbaf, and like it'd be the same thing. Drinking, poison, boom. You got a mix in story where like Emu and the world government poisoned Luffy, or you get like the Red Wedding thing, like from Game of Thrones, right? Where like you bring in somebody and you poisoned everyone's drink and then you slaughter all of them. You could get a lot of different iterations of how important and integral this is to the story.
Yeah, and with this as well, like I think it's cool that Nami is the one who's separated on a different level because she's the one character who doesn't understand the giants, right? She's just like, oh, like, you know, these giants are kind of dumb. They're just fighting to fight. She said that on Little Garden. She's kind of saying it now at the beginning of the chapter. And it's like, yeah, like maybe by the end of all of this, she comes to appreciate the giants and what they do.
Thing is, Nami's from Sweden. If Oda was to bring her into the real world, Swedish, it would be a Nordic, you know, country that would be in line. So maybe Nami has more behind her story. We don't know her backstory. We don't know where she's from. But it wouldn't be crazy to say that there might be some backstory that could connect. Also, if we're saying that these guys were the first pirates, the Vikings needed a lot of maps. There's a one important thing that this is the leak thing. I mentioned it in the video, but there's a Swedish map maker that is very, very influential towards like sailing, just piracy in general. And Oda actually kind of reflected it in the. I'm saying Oda because it would only, like, from what I know, Oda would have to make it, but like in Easter eggs, in the Nami episode of the, or no, just all the live action, they used a map to show where everything is, who drew that map, who made that map. And the thing is, they made the map in a very interesting way that was reflective of this Swedish map maker. And so now that we, like, Nami's a cartographer, all that stuff, we're going to the Vikings. The Vikings were the first pirates, the first sailors. We might get a lot of interesting connections that way. That might be the way that Nami ended up agreeing to some of these things in the first place. Maybe the person like was like, oh my god, like the maps, let's compare maps, something like that. And Nami's like, wait, you have like old maps? Like that would 100% be the catfish bait that Nami would take, is like maps. So if we're talking about giants who like 3 generations ago is Void Century and they have maps, and we're talking about how Vegapunk said that the world used to be a giant continent and the giants might have that, that might be like something that Nami would really want. So we might get motive, we might get backstory, not backstory, but like connections, like relative connections.
No, yeah.
Backstory, in my opinion, would be later if my theory were correct, but it wouldn't even need to be that deep. The like Swedish connection, we don't know where she's from. We're on Elbaf now. She's kidnapped. Boom. And like the last time someone got kidnapped, Sanji, boom, what did we find out? His backstory, his long lost connections. He was the prince of Germa Kingdom, this pirate, mad scientist, world government connected affiliated thing. Boom, we might find out why Nami's island was like nuked. Like, who knows? Who knows?
No, yeah, I agree. I'm a big perpetuator that Nami's going to get more to her story as well. Like, I believe this is going to be it right here. We're going to learn more about her, more about Usopp. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who get some really nice development on Elbaf.
If not all.
Yeah. And the thing is that, like, you know, when it comes to Egghead, like, we didn't spend a lot of time there. Like, realistically, like, you know, 60 chapters plus, but that was just a single day. You know, like, now that we're on Elbaf, I feel like we can actually take our time, you know, spend a week, a month, however long in One Piece time, and just really, like, you know, cherish these characters. And I'm excited, man. I feel like we could get some pretty cool fights if the giants do have, like, devil fruits, or just, you know, teach us hockey, or, you know, what techniques they were using, you know, hundreds of years ago. I think it'd be pretty sick. And do you have anything you want to end off on now that this is the final part of the chapter?
No, I mean, like, I don't even know what's coming next. Legoland, Holy Knights. I want Holy.
I want Holy
like,
Knights. I gotta see those guys, dude.
We're still in the transitional phase in between arcs, and I'm fine with that. But I'm not fine with that if we move on and we got like a Gorosei dying, getting replaced by the Holy Commanders, and nothing about the Holy Knights except that they're incompetent in stopping the bondolas and the siege.
And they haven't found any food. Yeah.
I will.
Come on.
I'm fine with stalling Elbaf a chapter or two for the Holy Knights. And I say a chapter or two because, yeah, one of the Holy Knights is allegedly Shanks' twin brother. Can we put this shit to rest finally with this, whatever Oda's cooking with that? Is it his brother? Like, can we at least know if he looks at least at all like him? Like, is he even for Garland? Like, I want at least that, you know?
Yeah.
We might not, well, obviously we wouldn't get that, but I'm saying like a chapter, and I would stretch it to two. In the second chapter, better give us Shiv.
Yeah,
give us Shiv.
We could get like Cross Guild next chapter, Impel Down, Neo Mads, Vegapunk. Like, there's so much we could get. Like that's the glory of One Piece. Like, even in this chapter, like, we got Blackbeard and Shanks and Elbaf all in one.
Yeah. Also, it's funny that people wait, actually no, let me get this clarified. It's funny that people say the Shiv thing about Shanks, because according to what we would know, Roger named Shanks.
Yeah.
So like,
unless there's like a name tag.
Yeah, unless there was a name tag, but we saw the box and they didn't say like, "Oh, this is Shanks." Like, they didn't do that. Like, you know, like, it's not.
Well,
like
it would be a hell of a
the
coincidence then, huh?
Station. Yeah, if his name was Shiv, like that, then I'm thinking it's like Figarland lunar eclipse. Like, it's like Shanks is supposed to have some crate. Like, oh, what if Shanks' original name is supposed to be like the Red Moon? Wait, we don't know. Wait. The anime gave us Figarland's hair, right?
No.
Oh, we haven't got to that episode yet?
No.
That's next episode? So we don't know what color his hair is.
That's like 2 episodes later.
Wait, really? We have Emu's voice, Cobra. It's 10. That's 1084.
I think so. Let me see.
And then 1086 is for Garland, right?
Let me see.
So the name reveal. So 1086 is the Gorosei name reveal. We just did 1084.
Yeah, so it's gonna be 1086. So yeah,
so
2 episodes.
2 more episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, 2 episodes. Yeah, because like the color of the hair. Because imagine if like Shanks' real name was supposed to be like the Blood Moon. The Garland Blood Crimson something. I don't know.
Well,
but then it's like,
then again, like, Garland doesn't have a name that's like, you know, indicative of his hairstyle.
True, it's just like garlic.
Yeah.
Garland. Yeah. But maybe he started it. Maybe we get like a moon name. Like, he started the lineage thing. Yeah, like, he's the patriarch, you know? I mean, especially now he's a patriarch, so he has a naming scheme. Oh yeah, and then he calls Shanks something else, and Shanks is like, "Don't call me that. I follow the sun."
That'd be crazy. That'd be
yeah,
wild.
He says some moon thing, and he's just like, "Yeah, like, let you revolve around the earth, I revolve around the sun god."
Oh man, that's rough. Like, I could see that, but also like that's like that Marvel dialogue where you're like, ooh, now this is Generation 6, huh? This is the new wave of Marvel. I see. Yeah, so some new writers in the room.
But it's a rough, because you couldn't just swat this idea down. It's rougher because you can see it. It's rougher because it's like,
no, well, okay, I can see it in the scope of like, yeah, like Shanks might say something like this. But these exact words, no.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, Sai, you have plenty of rough drafts.
Oh, yeah. I have concepts of a plan here, but it's like,
if I was Oda's editor. I'm not submitting that dialogue.
Yeah, no,
What the heck?
that's the only reason I was like, ooh, like it's just the delivery of it. It's like, okay.
Oh yeah, but it's just the delivery. But you can still see. Like,
Well, yeah, of course.
Like,
I mean, that's
yeah,
very,
Like, yeah, Oda's gonna say,
You know.
celestial dragons revolve around the earth. I follow the sun god.
Oh, God.
And then they're like, like how Saturn, when he went into the mother flame room, he's like, like that's what they do. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
yeah. Maybe he's like, I follow the will of D, or like, yeah, I believe in the D or something. And that's his way of
when
saying
you put
it.
two D's together, you get the sun. Don't know about the theory, like how the D is half of the sun.
Yeah,
I always thought
no,
it was funny.
yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
I always thought it was funny because I was like, oh, so you put two D's together and you get the whole sun? Is that what we're getting at? Like a sword fight?
Yeah. Like you get the sun, like it's the horizon.
Which is like, which is like Shanks versus
dawn.
Mihawk, a sword fight. We don't know what swords they were fighting with.
It's like the triple stun lock. It's like I'm being tasered over and over. It's like, oh damn.
Shanks didn't have the Griffin, and did Mihawk always have the Yoru? Oh yeah, he did have the Yoru at the thing, right?
Yeah. He always had Yoru.
Execution. Yeah.
Damn.
And he painted it black anyways. He painted his sword black. Oh god. That joke gets funnier and funnier the more you think about it. And Oda substantiated with Luffy painting his bat black too. Oda's locked in.
Oda's locked in with the black paint, the Shanks and Mihawk sword fighting, but not the swords you think. Yeah, this has been enlightening. I love this. I love this. This is peak One Piece, guys.
Yeah. You should cut out this part and just be like, yeah, that was just chain together your stun locks.
Yeah, chain together. If only I was good at editing. Yeah, I would.
Hyper fast forward. It's just and you're just like,
just like no react. Just mouth wide open. Like what? Huh? So what do you say about like the theory that this isn't Elbaf in general though? Like this is like, because when the spoilers came out, we had no context of like what Nami's wearing or anything. All we heard is that the Strawhats were missing, and people were like, yo, like where are we? Right? And crazy answers being thrown out. I was like, yo, like it could be Shiki, this could be a Nell, this could be like the man marked by flames. Like, but before we knew the Viking outfit stuff, like, dude, the spoiler community, we were like, dude, people are cooking up different ideas, and I loved it. But of course, like now that we see the outfit, it's probably Elbaf. But if this isn't Elbaf, if I had to like, wipe your memories of Nami's outfit, where would you think we are?
No, that's funny because without the outfit, I was thinking Elbaf anyways, just contextually based off of the ship and all that stuff. Because they were saying like with the great speed of the thing, they would have got there. So I was like, okay, in a world where they made it there, they wouldn't be able to leave Elbaf, but like in time because then you'd need the ship. And then for the again when the Lego thing came in, it was like the old Christensen thing, and I was like, oh, that's Elbaf, like that's Nordic, so like we're in the area. So even without that, so like, if you were to wipe my memory and I was in the spoiler community, and wait, what do they say though? Like what do they say exactly?
They just said the Straw Hats went missing.
The Straw Hats went missing?
Yeah,
I had no idea, honestly. Yeah, I would think Shiki abducted them, that because if the last thing was that Shiki was there. And Shiki was on our Shiki was on Elbaf, so it would still be Elbaf then. Like I would still think Elbaf. It'd just be like missing on Elbaf.
Yeah, missing on Elbaf, missing around Elbaf.
Yeah, like unless like the spoiler said like they never made it to the island, which
that would be
like
crazy.
I could, like it's like I could see like I don't know if the spoil. Wait, did the spoilers say this off of the visual? Wait, what? I thought the spoilers get like the raws and then they give spoilers. Isn't that like
what
happens or like so what I'm saying is like if they were just going off dialogue, I could see them saying like, oh, the Straw Hats never made it to Elbaf. Like if they were just going off like dialogue. But then I was like, wait, how do you get the dialogue without the visuals?
Oh, they have
then
both.
Yeah, it's just the spoiler people have both. but the spoilers never said like, oh, the Lego thing. They never said like
Yeah.
Nami was
So
by
so
herself.
the way it works is there's two sets of spoilers. There's the first one that's just like the cliff notes, and it said Shanks and the Blackbeard stuff, whatever. And then for the last part, it was like, oh, by the way, like, you know, 6 of the Strawhats are like not with the giant ship, and they can't find them.
That's funny because when I was reading it, right, I saw the fish next to the ship, and I was like, yo, the fish ate them. And then like when the black thing, I was like, oh, it's locked in. But then it's not a Lego thing, and the fish ate them. I literally went back and was like, yeah, the Sunny was tied onto the ship on that side, and now there's no tied ship there. And then we see a fish, so I was like, oh, a fish ate them. And so like, there's a world where like they're inside of a fish, and like, you know what? Like maybe they are in Elbaf, but they're inside of a fish, and that could go with the lore of the island eater thing, where a fish ate an island, and inside that island, it's like a Moby Dick scenario. Well, not Moby Dick, but like a Laboon Crocus scenario, where they're inside of a fish, and one of the giants has a Lego land inside of the fish, and it's like his own thing.
It's just like super wacky.
Yeah, super wacky. Because like now that I'm thinking about it, like the fish route isn't that crazy. Because like my initial reaction was I saw the giant ship, and then the Thousand Sunny used to be next to it, and then that was the fish. So I was like, oh, they got eaten.
And plus, this isn't the first time they pointed out how big the fish of Elbaf was, because Kid's crew also said the same thing.
And then we go to the introduction of giants, the island eater. It eats islands. So like, who's to say this is not a fish that ate an island, and that they're now in that fish, in that island? And you know what? That would actually be a great route for both of our Elbaf videos or I don't know if you made a video on it, but we had talked about Elbaf around the same time, and we both talking about how like the underwater part of Elbaf, specifically like Kid and Law, they're probably there or something like that. If a fish ate them and they ended up at the bottom of the thing, that wouldn't be that crazy, because like Wano is a similar story where like they got sucked up in an underwater thing and then washed up, and then that's how Luffy got separated, right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, actually now like Elbaf in fish, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
So Elbaf number 1, fish number 2. Not bad. Yeah, as far as like why the Strawhats aren't with them and why the tie's not there, I could totally see like them hallucinating and just wanting to get to Elbaf quicker. Like if they're all drunk, if they're hallucinating, they got Luffy, they got Usopp, yeah, Chopper, like they're goofy.
Like they might have been chasing the fish, and then they ended up not on Elbaf, and they forgot that they were chasing the fish. They're like, wait, why are we on Elbaf? Oh, it's because you saw that Thousand Sunny got eaten. You're like, oh shit! And then they were going after it, and then they were like, wait, what were we doing? You know what I mean? They were just hallucinating.
There's so
about
many
a fish.
ways. Like when you add in hallucinations, you can literally put anything. Like, oh, Luffy saw this, or Luffy saw that, or you know, they saw this over here. You know, Zoro wanted to go here for this thing. Like you add in this like unlimited variable, and it's like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, we'll just backtrack now.
Moral of the story: if you ever, because there are gonna be people who do this and like get inspired. I mean, Joe Rogan's podcast is literally a hallucinogen reference, but a lot of people take lightly about hallucinogens. All the people who do it and the medical practices that are doing it, it's always in a controlled thing. It's approved medically for a reason, but it's under strict protocols. And if you do it recreationally, make sure you don't just jump into absinthe or fucking crazy ass shit like that. Yeah, do baby steps.
And also, don't take magic mushrooms from vape shops. Apparently, they're like super poisonous right now.
Oh, well, yeah, they're making synthetic ones, though.
Yeah.
I don't know why the fuck. Because the thing is, no one was out here getting, like, arrested for, like, hallucinogens in the first place. But, like, it's now getting approved in so many states because medically. Like, technically, if I went to, like, my hospital, I could ask, because, like, cancer stuff. Cancer patients that are, like, you know, need it for anxiety, depression, I could go through a situation for that. But it's not that, like, guys, like, don't get the synthetic, like, even for, like, you don't need the synthetics.
Don't do
that one. Yeah, that's a big no.
Just drink alcohol like a normal person.
Don't do that, because you'll fuck up your liver and you end up old and decrepit. But yeah, just everything
how
in
about
moderation. This? Don't take a drink from a stranger.
Yeah.
When
Okay.
a
How about
stranger
this? How about
tells
this?
you green fairy, Say no.
Just
No to the green
play
fairy.
VR chat or something.